gonna make it. It's the energy.
Okay. I was so boring they cut me off.
No, no, no. I followed you through the whole time, and
Okay.
okay. So, and I was just explaining that we're not. This isn't about talking about me. That we're trying to.
No, it's not. It's about
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. We're
Mm.
conveying what, and that's why I did that yesterday because people, even people that know me on a personal level, that knew some things were happening in my life, misunderstood. You know,
Here's the thing though, Todd, just to clarify, is that when say something happens to you, to me, to anybody watching this, because it things happen to us all. Um, it's how we process it.
Yeah,
So we could react a certain way, a typical human way, but then that might occur. But then afterwards, it's how do we process that?
yeah,
And there's two ways we're going to process it. It's either through our heart, being honest to ourselves and speaking our truth. If we do that, we raise our frequency up.
yeah,
If we come away from that situation and process it through ego, which might be, and I'm just giving examples here because I don't know any situations, but it might be to blame that other person or to put a story to that other person as to why they did or said that, which then has upset me. That is putting the blame on the outside. It's not looking at why
yeah,
you yourself are hurt, why you are upset.
yeah,
So you have to have a lot of compassion for yourself to be able to look yourself in the face from your heart with love to yourself. But if you react to that situation afterwards from ego and just blame outside circumstances or outside people for what's occurred, whatever that was is going to show up again and
yeah,
again and again in a different person, a different time, until you do go within and look at ourself. I look at me, and why did I react that way? And it's by that act. Are you still there, Todd? Are you still there, Todd? Yes, you are.
yeah, I'm here.
Okay. But it's that act, the act that we individually perform of looking within ourselves and saying, this isn't about them. It's actually about me
Yeah,
and my thoughts and my beliefs or my misperceptions about me. It's always about us. It's
yeah,
always about me, you. So because we do that, we then clear it. But then
yeah,
what will happen is we will get another little gift of a similar nature again. So we've understood the core problem or the core misperception of how we act based on our misbeliefs about ourselves. It will then present again in a smaller way, and that is an opportunity to now act from the highest truth that you have understood about yourself, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And so it's not only that we clear something within us, but it's then we go and walk our talk and we act from that
yeah,
new enlightened mind, if you like. And then it does not repeat it. So what we're doing is we're spiraling up that way
hmm,
instead of cycling round which are actually condensed spirals. We're
yeah,
going like this instead
yeah,
because we're happy to look at ourselves. It's the greatest thing anyone can do is look at themselves.
yeah,
The hardest thing, or at least the hardest path on this ascension, is to not look at yourself. That's the hardest route, to
yeah.
avoid looking at yourself. And I include myself in all of this. Everything I say from complete experience of it.
Absolutely.
you know.
here, I'm going to start setting the space a little differently.
Yeah.
So those of you who are energy sensitive, in an astral sense, have probably felt me ever since probably about an hour ago, if you were intending to connect to this call. And so what I'm doing is I'm just clearing the astral space that we're meeting in, and I'm going to invite you to now formally join me there. I will explain what bifurcation is. Don't worry, we're going to get the definitions, but the first thing I want to do whenever I start talking about that is get everybody into a relaxed state so that we can hear the information, not so much with our ears, but with our hearts. Because there are going to be some new people here, and this is going to be a first-time thing, and I just want us to be relaxed, be able to receive, and communicate with one another on a crystal level, and receive through the vibrations. Okay, so connecting in. I'm going to invite everybody to connect into the crystalline core of Earth with me. Those of you who are open to having your energy moved may make that statement now, and I will begin doing group energy clearing and group energy alignment as we're part of this process. If you don't want to do that, just say, not me, in your head and your heart. I won't touch you. So opening it up. There's a lot of ready people here right now. I can feel.
Yeah.
So, okay, connecting to the crystalline core. So if you don't know what that is, that's just the big, huge crystal in the center of the Earth. That's the Earth's operating system for New Earth. And so what is New Earth? It's a vibrational reality, okay? So those of us who have been on the path for a long time, we used to connect to the magnetic grid. And so the magnetic grid is where 3D and sometimes 4D Earth exists, right? And so part of what this ascension process means is we're raising the vibration of the Earth, or raising the vibration of ourselves. And as part of that, we're then connecting on a different energy system that can sustain that vibration and help us go higher and higher and higher. We've reached the capacity of the magnetic grid as it was built. So this crystalline core, this is where the new stuff is. And so as you're connecting into that, I'm going to invite you to connect to your oversoul. And I'll pull it in for you. And we're going to bring in a wave of Christ-light energy, so just crystal energy, and through your energy system. And begin clearing you out. So I'll do some explaining in a minute, but the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to begin allowing ourselves to gradually raise our vibration and settle into this frequency so that as we are moving through this series of alignments, we're able to receive it in its highest vibration and in a way that's more comfortable for all of us, as opposed to the big smash bang of a wave here or there. I prefer a gentle wave. It's a more pleasant day on the ocean in my world.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what does all of this mean? Why do people do stuff on days like today? And why does Lionsgate matter right now? So one of the things that happens, right, as we step into our own mastery is that we recognize that we are responsible for our own trajectory. It is our job to heal ourselves. It is our job to make us happy. It is our job to, you know, kind of fix the problems in our lives, but it's also our job and our joy to create. And so one of the things that is about, you know, energy transition, energetic growth, and intention settings is that, you know, we're saying, hey, energy body, hey, soul, hey, cosmos, this is the stuff I'm ready to work on right now. You know, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to grow. And so there are certain times during the year where there are cosmic alignments that are done with sacred sites. So I've been sharing about that quite a bit. That's kind of my shtick, right? Is like the sacred sites. So right now we have proximity to a Syrian and a Pleiadian alignment. So where I am, Vega is kind of switching in. And so right now, if you've been following what I've been saying, there's a whole bunch of new and pure codes that are entering the earth. And so this is a super big treat because what these codes are going to do is magnify our intention. Yeah. They will amplify our intention. They will help us to highlight the sacred knowledge that we're calling forth from within ourselves as that which we're ready to connect to, right? So say you're ready to start learning more about your soul's trajectory, you know? Okay, so then you write that intention. I call forward information that is in the highest vibration of alignment for me to connect to about my soul's trajectory. Help me see where I came from. you know? And so when you're doing that, when you're setting an intention like that, what you're doing, yeah, like I'm saying, is you're calling it out.
Yeah.
And so part of mastery and part of ascension in the new way, which we were just talking about, is saying, all right, I'm going to call it out. It's as plain and as simple as that. And so star codes and sun codes and planetary codes that are going to come through, not just today and in this session, but over the next 2 weeks, are going to help to bring you towards the alignments that you're calling for, right? And so that's cool. So that's why I asked you to set the intention. So we'll put that there for a moment. The second part of the ceremony focuses on, you know, creating new earth trajectory and recognizing that just as we are the ones that are responsible to call in stuff for ourselves, we also signed up for this thing called Mission Ascension. And we're awakened beings now who consciously know that. And so part of what we can do on these days is also unite together and use these star codes and our collective intention to call forward, you know, smooth trajectory and pumping up the grids for new earth and various other things like we're going to talk about later on. So the point of this day and the point of what we're doing right now is, first, we're going to set it for ourselves, and then we're going to extend that practice and do it for earth.
Our human mind is the one that needs to know. Well, if you let go of the need to know and you go full blown into the experience, you'll understand it after the fact. You'll understand it once you let go. But the need to know tightens the muscles down, and the muscles tightening down actually stop the process.
Right. Right.
So the muscles in your body represent the grid work of the earth you walk on. There's a lot of density and a lot of stuff. So like a lot of people right now, and I went through this years ago, okay? So I had to go through physical body ascension, if you will, way back, so that I could actually share and teach and help and assist when it came time for collectives to come through. That's our roles. And I understood it, but I was completely asleep. And so mine was a slam dunk, get drugged through it, basically, in order to wake me up. Oh yeah, the most intense you can ever choose. I was one of those. And this being my first incarnation, walking in, being on the wrong planet for a long time, you know, in the wrong family and not supposed to be here, and nothing made sense at all. And then you start trying to fit in to the human reality. And you actually, when you do that, you change your DNA and stuff. And so you're reversing everything when you start waking up. You're reversing everything you ever believed. You're reversing everything in order to bring it into alignment vibrationally, soul, higher dimensions, whatever. I don't know. We can use all these words. But I resisted all this. I fought all this. I didn't understand. I didn't know that we had to integrate our light for our light body to activate. I didn't know we had to integrate our light or our bodies are going to shut down and die. I didn't know that because I was so separated and asleep and unconscious inside that my body couldn't function or survive anymore. And so I went through all the organ failures. I went through the whole body. I went through everything, and my whole physical reality collapsed in two because I was deeply unconscious and asleep. And this was all too weird and bizarre, and I couldn't control it. So when we have those needs to control, then our whole reality will collapse.
Wow. How long ago was this?
Well, it's always been occurring. So I can hit certain points. Okay. So the one where I actually started waking up to something else was I was still unconscious, but I started to wake up to something different. And I had gone through a lot of trauma opens the heart. Rough stuff opens the heart, which is why we have to go through so much, is to get our heart open. But it started in the beginning of 2009.
Wow.
And I went from completely deep asleep to and in the extreme and the intense at that point, to basically when you wake up and all your heavy stuff starts coming up. It's called dark night of the soul. Well, I call it dark night of the ego because it's not your soul. Your soul is pure. There is no darkness of your soul. It's all your ego stuff. And so I went through, every year I was a different person. And so by 2010, I went through my Kundalini fully waking, opening up, and then, channeling like a mad woman, and all about, and all these vibrational frequencies that were really too high for me, and I couldn't understand them, but I'm bringing all this information through. And you're floating and you're high all the time, and you're disconnected from the physical reality for a while.
Yeah, I can
You have to. And you're high on light. It's the light of your soul. It's the most amazing. Nobody wants to come back here once they connect with that energy again. It's like, I don't want to go back, but the fearful human will, because it doesn't like the lack of control. So it'll actually try to control everything again. But 2010 was Kundalini awakening, bringing through all this higher consciousness information, channeling, and all that kind of stuff. Then 2011 started my multidimensional merging, started me embodying my higher self aspects gradually over time to be fully awake and living beyond the veils and living quantum realities and all that kind of stuff, and bringing all that information through, and working with the energy body and all this kind of stuff in 2012, because I was a gatekeeper and a grid keeper for New Earth and Ascension. And so my role was to assist humanity with the transitions. And so by 2012, it was all service, but not fully, because I still hadn't cleared my own lack programming. And even though we ascend our consciousness, we still have to ascend our physical body. Both have to occur. And so a lot of people, they will expand to see, but then they go back and play in the physical reality again. And we don't get to go back and play in the physical reality. We have to bring the physical reality into the higher dimensional realms.
Okay, that's great. I've never heard this before. So I totally get, and I think a lot of people do, expanding your consciousness. But
now you have to hold it. But look how hard it is to stay in that place and function in the physical reality.
Yes.
Now this is the challenge for everybody. Can you stay in that really high expanded space and get up and walk around and function in the world? Not in the beginning, you can't.
Right. But that's that interactive world that you're talking about walking in. A lot of us are starting to experience where the magic does occur.
That's where that's where the magic is. And every moment is magic. I mean, and you walk around, you take pictures of the sky, and you're like, oh, I hear rainbows. Okay. And you run outside and you're looking for the rainbows, and they start to appear. You live in a billion different holograms, and you get to see them all. And then you just get to pick the reality. Okay, universe, bring me this one big. Nothing is ever a surprise when it shows up in my world. I've been working hard for it for years.
Mm-hmm.
You wait for it. You don't wait for anything. You keep being in service, and you call forth the things you need in order to support your reality, so you can be in service. And so a lot of people will say, I wish, or I would like, but the thing about it is this means actually, instead of you move out of those realities, I wish and I like to, okay, universe, bring it to me. I'm ready. The difference between I wish and I'm ready is a huge quantum jump.
Yeah.
Because the moment, and I tell people, close your eyes and go inside and say you're ready. If you ever want to tune in to your energy body, if you ever want to tune into your soul, if you ever want to tune into your higher self, you go deep inside and you talk to your universe, you talk to your higher self, you listen to your body, and you fully connect with the inside realms, the subtle realms, the whatever you want to call them, the multidimensional realms. Everything's inside. But humans don't go inside. They look at the outside world, and that dictates reality. That's what they believe. We go inside. We see and understand everything. Hear, see, feel. Everything. And we pay attention to the vibration. Pay attention to the emotion. Pay attention to all these things. It's where you learn to identify, well, that's not my purest aspect of me. That's not my truth anymore. That's my fear. That's not aligned with my highest reality. Oh, that's my lack. And you actually have to start identifying. Humans don't identify what's going on inside of themselves. Oh, my body feels the need to have a release of anger or crying or whatever the case may be. That's my unconscious program. Let me assist my body. Let me get my body's vibration as high as I can and keep it there. Our body's vibration dictates the physical reality we live in, the dimension. We're not limited to the third and the fourth dimension. They've already collapsed. those of us, I'm going to say those of us just to make a point, because technically everybody has all of these capabilities.
Right.
Okay. Those of us who do this as multidimensionals, we've already seen the third and the fourth dimension collapse. It's been gone for years. Now, each individual is running around in their own universe, their own field of consciousness, playing out their belief systems until they're ready to let that go. We all left. We're on New Earth.
Right.
We don't live there anymore. There's no lack. There's no nothing. Is there a program still in our body? Yeah, we see it. We bring it up. Okay. We let the body cry. The only thing is, what's funny is once you start doing this consciously, you'll feel the energy of tears coming, but there won't even be any tears anymore. You don't even care. It's just your body releasing.
It's like on the outside looking in. Yeah.
Everything's inside, all the dimensions, all the other universes. And you know, yesterday I was sitting, we left the old galaxy. We've been gone from the old galaxy for a really long time. We've been in other galaxies, and humans have no clue all these other realities actually do physically exist. Over my house, I have plasma. I breathe plasma crystalline air. Humans can't even breathe that air. Our bodies become self-sustaining. You actually learn how to breathe. It'll feel like you're in an aquatic realm, like you're underwater at times. There will be times that your breathing is labored. That's when we're birthing new realities. Your body will actually blow up like you're pregnant, and you're birthing new realities. And women or men, it doesn't really matter, because, and this is the cool part, souls are not male or female.
Right.
Doesn't matter what body you're in. When I look at you, Todd, I see a soul.
Yeah.
In a human body. I see a galactic in a human body. I see a divine being in a human body. Now, the aspect of you that I get, I also have to see which one that is. So if you go human on me, if your ego comes in, then I'm going to recognize that, and I'm going to deal with that aspect, and I'm going to bring you back into consciousness. Human means your heart is closed. That's it. Okay, so everything that we have been going through, when your heart is wide open, your human mind doesn't run the show anymore. Your soul gets to come through. Your body, you get to actually act according to cosmic law, to universal law, rules, codes, light code. Doesn't really matter what words you use. They're all the truth. They're different versions of it. The difference is that we understand when you connect with that deepest, purest place inside of you, your ego does not come into play anymore.
Yeah.
And being able to maintain that space and occupy that space and live that as your life means you got to let all the judgment go. You got to let all the blame go. You got to let all the finger pointing go. You got to let all the guilt go. You got to let all of that stuff, you got to let it go. Well, humans can't let anything go. They hold on to it. They keep recreating it in their reality. We let it go. We moved on a long time ago. It doesn't exist in our world.
Yeah.
so much more. We're so capable, and working with source. Like when we work, I feel like we really need to work with source, the goddess. I'm very connected to the sacred divine feminine, the goddess energy, and the blue ray. As a blue ray, I'm water, and I flow. I have to flow with the harmonics of the frequency. That's blue rays do that really well, because we feel our emotions. Our emotions help us to tune in to our intuition, to our connection. We need to experience the harmonics of the resonancy tone frequency, and that means like in our energy fields. We just intuitively, we just naturally are picking up things like all the time, like you were saying. Like we're just picking up the energy of even what's not being seen, the unseen, the feelings, the emotions, the interdimensional realms, the different beings, the different connections, hidden agendas, real intent, real truth. And that is really important. Like that's really important, is that we it's really important is that we are who we are.
Yeah.
We are who we are. That if we're a sensitive empath, that we allow ourselves to be that, and allow that to be our guide, and know that that's our gift, and that we were created to be that. Yes. And that's part of our purpose. Part of my purpose is to be an empathic, sensitive being, and to live life in that way, so that encoding of life can have a stronger resonancy within the whole entire field of life. Because my tree right here, I love trees. My tree right here is communicating in that way. The animals, the whole flow of life is there's this beautiful communication if we listen constantly. It's like there's a constant broadcast of the source of the divine for us, guiding us all the time, 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you say too, because it's true. Anything we do is imprinted and it stays forever. It's done. It's done. You put out a light language song, it's done. It's imprinted. It impacts the entire infinite holy grid.
Yes.
Unity grid.
Yes. And yeah, and then you can build upon that energy. Like once it's here, then it's here. You can always go back to it, like an encyclopedia, a frequency. It's always there, but you can always build upon it too.
Yeah, expand it.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing is with Morgan and I the last few weeks, we talked about it on the last show when we were here. We've had more. We've had more. A couple of days ago, I watched her again. I watched her face morph from here to there, in front of me, into all these other aspects of herself. So it's like these things are continuing to happen, and they're increasing. And I think with it comes additional capabilities, and more than just awareness, it's capabilities. Like you said, we're so much more than that. We're so much more than that. I mean, it's amazing. If I look at my own situation, I look at, she's got a ticket to go back to Australia in a couple of weeks. I'm not worried about it. I know that something amazing is happening, and all of our powers are being enhanced. Like you said, if you pay attention and listen and watch, and it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
You can't keep one toe in the 3D and actually maximize the impact of our true nature. You can't do it, and it's a challenge. But we can do it. We all can do it. We're here to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. I like what you said. We're here to do it. That's what we're here to do. That's what the star seeds are here to do. Call them the star seeds. Call them the light workers. You know, the beings of the rays of creations who have this consciousness that are being called, and that their soul knows. The star seeds, they know. They come here for a purpose. And their purpose is to have a beautiful life, of course, to enjoy this extraordinary life. However, there is more, and it's always to serve.
That's right.
Always to serve. And that service comes from, the greatest service comes from being who you are.
Yes.
Being the true expression of your soul's wisdom.
Yes.
Because through that, it all comes, it all flows. When you allow for that to happen, those miracles, magic, seems like.
It is magic.
Yeah. Like, happens. Exactly.
I tell you what's happened to me. I don't even know now, like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 or 3 days. I don't know if this has happened to you, but like one example is today with Grace Solaris, and then Elaine, one of our sisters who was here in Sedona and said, come over and broadcast from here, her and another friend, Susan. So Elaine knows Grace. So I told Grace, I got a surprise for you. So Elaine sat down in the chair. They started doing light language and some activations went off. And I was in the other room and I came over here. But after it happened, I felt this whole energy come in, right? And my body couldn't take it. I had to go lay down and I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? But that's happened to me 4 or 5 times in the last week where it's this pure infusion of light, and one of my bodies, typically the physical or maybe even the emotional, couldn't take it. And I had to hold space for that. My other bodies had to hold space for that part of my body that couldn't integrate yet,
Yeah. Did you see the picture of Amanda Lawrence?
Yeah.
From the crown, how the energy comes in the crown.
Yeah.
And then, so this feeling you are speaking about, I have since this summer, every day, basically every day. But my body can absolutely hold this frequency, so I don't need to lay down.
Yeah.
When I got this strong wave, I just feel, wow, this is this is blissful, and I feel great. I don't feel because I was able to release and let go so much, and of course the purging process, it's absolutely individual because everyone has different emotional trauma or different shadows, so it's absolutely individual. For me, in my personal experience, I had to let go the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
This was I had to, because I in the Netherlands I went completely alone, so I had to deal with my own self to be able to learn how to be alone, because when I was in Italy I was always with people, and it's different to find yourself when you are surrounded by your friends of a lifetime, and you have to be alone. You have to go into this process when you look into yourself and you understand what is the real self.
Yeah.
All these fears and all these shadows, as they have to go away, they have to leave, and can be really painful, because when you feel these layers leaving your energetic field, in that moment, you are absolutely in a state of the same emotion that was triggering your reaction. So in that moment, you can be absolutely, in fear and overwhelming by this state. But then when it goes away, you are completely in peace, and nothing and nobody can bother you anymore.
Yeah.
So this is the process.
Let me ask you a question, and let me add to that. So, and because again, I'm just trying to put the frequency out there that I'm feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
So because I know it's somehow carries activations, and so we all do. And so I woke up this morning, and I'm like, okay, I got this new computer. I feel great. I actually woke up very, very physically, like I was active in Dimension last night for the last 2 nights. I knew I was because I get really sore and I'm groggy. But once I got out of it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do a radio show. I did a video first, said, hey, I'm okay, guys. I'm going to do a radio show. And then I started thinking, okay, staying with my truth. I thought I'm going to go into New York City and I'm going to dig something up. I'm going to make something happen. That's what we do. So I'm getting that. But my question to you was that, and that's in the spirit of staying true to yourself, which is what you're talking about. And I'm going to ask you about right now, and in our actions of creation. But so if something comes, what I'm finding is that if something comes at me, or let's just say someone, because the someone would require talking normally,
yes.
like you said, autopilot. If it's something, the talking's up in here, so it still applies. But what I'm finding is to say nothing, and not in judgment, just to say, can't do it. And for over the last 2, 3, 4 months, I've had people unfriend me. I've had people say things to me, and I've just held my ground most of the time. And what I'm finding is that they're coming back. Not that I was right, but that we're finding congruency, and that it's being understood at a level without words. Because the more we talk, like you said, the autopilot, the more we even if it's not something dramatic, we start having these low level, but the human 3D paradigm conversations. We are actually dipping down. We really are.
Yes. Yeah. This is such a beautiful subject to talk about. You've said many things there, Todd, which I can add to. Is let's try and be clear about what is operational. And again, we're just talking labels about third.
Yeah.
We're just saying third dimension. It's a particular frequency. That's it. It's not actually called third. That's a human word. But we're just kind of trying to categorize and trying to talk to explain. Are you still there, Todd? You're frozen. Are you there? I don't know if I'm still live.
If that happens,
are you there, Todd?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Just if that happens, just keep going. I'll pop in, pop out.
Oh, okay. All right. I will. So what were we talking about?
Well, you were talking. You.
Okay.
You were talking about the third dimensional being a specific vibration.
Let's try and get some understanding around this. And if people agree with it, they do. If they don't, they don't have to. It doesn't make any difference to me, but I'm just explaining the way I understand it and resonate to. A third dimension has a system of communication that humans use in order to live by and to communicate with the world and each other. that is a third dimensional frequency of linear languages like English, Greek, French, Japanese, writing, and reading. In order to perform those 3 acts of communication, you have to use the linear brain. Yeah. So in order to talk, you're going into your, for want of a better word, third dimensional program in order to talk, third dimensional program in order to read, third dimensional program in order to write.
Yeah.
The key is we're leaving that.
Yeah.
So it is a case of, if we're reading all day long, that might assist the brain to a degree in understanding. It might also tap the ego on the head, because the ego wants identity. It wants to identify itself. So it's, oh, wow, you know, I've read this. That's me. That's me. I'm a Blu-ray. I'm from Sirius. I'm this. I'm that. I'm an incarnation of whoever. That strokes the ego in the linear brain. The ego is linear 3D. It doesn't exist at 5D, the ego. So we have to be aware of our acts. If I was talking to people, and this has happened seriously, all day long, all I'm doing is staying in third dimensional frequency. So that doesn't serve my path if I'm wanting to raise my frequency and work with energy. Now, it's not always going to be this way, but at this stage in the ascension, that's how it is. When we get together with another person of a similar frequency, we can work together with our higher energies. And this is happening already. Yeah. I mean, you know this, I know this. It's already happening, where the frequencies are so similar, and the desire to experience higher experiences in the physical body is there, that the two gel, and they can work together as energy and have experiences together as energy. So that's already happening, but we have to be aware, and I've forgotten where we were with this conversation, but we have to be aware of that talking is actually third dimensional frequency. We would serve ourselves more if we spoke light language to each other, or we would serve ourselves more on the ascending path if we just looked into each other's eyes and didn't speak.
So when you connect into the waves of ascension energy, you don't need a person like me to sit here and help you bring this energy in, right? You are fully capable of doing this your own anytime you want to, every single day. All you need to do is connect to that crystalline core, like I showed you at the beginning. Connect to your oversoul and bring the energy in. And just say, you know, return to your intentions. Return to these intentions that you wrote. And, you know, or other ones that you want to add to it. And consciously bring the energy of your primary ascension timeline down and connect it to that. Right? So what you're doing is you're building your energetic pathway. And so when we set an intention, like I was saying earlier on, sometimes people get disheartened because they don't see automatic transition. Now, one of the things that most of us have to learn about on our spiritual path is patience and faith, right? And faith and trust. And so I highly recommend that as we move through this season, like say, for example, on Saturday, we have a new moon and a lunar, or a solar eclipse, sorry. New moon, lunar, solar eclipse. Is it solar or is it lunar? I don't even know. We have so many eclipses going on. But anyway, I'm high on energy too. This stuff moves me just as much as it moves you guys. And so anyway, on that particular day, a really good time for you to return to these intentions, right? And you can replay this meditation. You can do it in your own way. You know the basic structure, and just keep revisiting this energy. And now we'll do the second part of this, right? Because as we move through these transitions, just as we're calling stuff in, we're also going to go through moments where we're tested or where we have opportunities, choice points to let stuff go or release things. And so you'll have probably noticed that sometimes on your path, just when you're doing really good, there's a WTF moment. It really throws you back to a thing that you were or that you used to be and gives you a chance to revisit that again, right? And so a lot of the time when you're calling in intentions like this, people can get disheartened and they fray, their energy connection to their faith in that, right? And so when you come up in moments where you might feel like this isn't going to work, or worry or anxiety comes in, or you start fraying from your faith in it, right? It's kind of like like a split end hair follicle. It goes from being like a nice, healthy hair shaft to one that has little, or like a hose with leaks, like little tiny leaks that pop out. And so remembering always to kind of connect back into this and allowing yourself to connect into your truth and connect into the energy you're calling is going to allow you to stay stable throughout the process of energetic cleansing that is going to happen, or learning, right, and growth that is going to happen as you experience and begin to achieve that which you just called out. It's a process, right? It's a cycle. And, as long as you can remember to have fun with it, it's a very fun and beautiful cycle, even if there are difficult moments. But we've all gotten used to that by now, right? We understand that tomorrow's going to be a better day. A lot of the time, when you've hit the brick wall and when you've hit the rock bottom, there's nowhere else you can go but up. And so a lot of us on the path know that and take a lot of strength from that. And so reminding those of you who are brand new and who are just starting this for the first time that it's common to feel like you might be having setbacks. And just remind you, have faith and trust. Return to your intentions and watch how much you've been able to change, even over these next 2 months. You watch. And so one of the things we're going to do now is we're just going to now do an energy clear to release all of the energy that is no longer necessary or part of your energy body.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to just release some secondary and tertiary timelines that are ready to go, releasing some synthetic stuff that is no longer a part of this reality. Reminding everyone who is feeling energy stuff to keep clearing your energy body, guys. This is an everyday thing. I really recommend taking just a couple minutes every morning. Okay, so now that we've done that, and we've looked after ourselves first, because that's always very important, what we will do is I'm going to invite us now to join in co-creating and doing some things for calling forward some vibration for the planet. And so we did this a little bit, Todd, on solstice. I don't think you were here. Oh yeah, that's right. We weren't able to connect in. You can talk. We can have a lull in the ceremony if we want to for a minute so that we can allow people to shift.
Yeah. Keep going. You're good. This is really good.
Yeah, well, this is like totally what I've done for so many lifetimes, right? Is I just connecting into the crystals and running the collective ceremony. This is my true joy. I look forward to the day that I can actually get in the crystal that people can actually see and do this. So I'm so excited to tell you what I was inspired to do for this ceremony, and some of it is going to be new, but you know how we keep talking about that big wave of people that are awakening?
Yeah.
Part of what we got assigned to do today is connect in love and give them some shout outs. We're actually going to send awakening energy through our soul groups.
So like when I started waking up, and I'm going to bebop all over the place because it's all a part of the whole picture. Okay.
I'm with you.
It is that when I started waking up, I came in as a galactic, as a star being, dropped off on a planet and didn't want to be here, didn't understand anything, and immediately went deep asleep. But there was the part of me And I chose the most unloving and most unconscious reality to incarnate into because this was my only incarnation. So I had to experience everything so that I could then assist when it came to time for everybody to wake up and the awakening process. You have to transcend everything and return it all to love from within yourself. Well, those who chose the harshest and most extreme had less physical incarnations.
Oh, wow.
And because I had no other physical incarnations, I had to experience it all in this one. So I went deep beneath the veils. All along the way, something would come to open my heart, but then it wasn't time for me to fully wake up. So I would enter my next phase of my unconscious journey as a human. And then something would come along to open my heart more. And then I would move into the next phase until I finally completed all those phases of basically gathering all the things that I thought were going to make me happy, focusing on all the external realities, gaining and achieving all the identities that I thought made me who I was.
Right.
When in essence, it has absolutely nothing to do that, but that's called the chosen human experience/experiment. Experiment's the galactic word, experience is the soul. So we have different words for galactics. We have missions for galactics, and we have purposes, soul purposes for souls. And then we have human roles that we play out here. And it's all of those.
Right.
So which is why I tie all the words together so that it can connect with each aspect of whoever is activated in that moment. I did what helped wake me up, if you will, was I was the ultimate suppressor and I was deeply unconscious and I did everything that I could to avoid feelings. And I was the ultimate control freak, which meant I was so deep asleep that my world wouldn't budge. Everything had to fit into a nice, neat little box. And then what will happen is when it's time for our heart to start opening, we start feeling everything and it's too much.
Right.
And I mentioned this to somebody the other day and they're like, nobody ever mentions the feeling too much part. They talk about not feeling enough. Well, we move from not feeling to feeling too much because our energy body is waking up.
Right.
And when you feel everything, it's overwhelming because we've never dealt with those things. Yeah. We've never cleared those things on a cellular level. We packed them in our body and our body became too dense. And so part of my process was immense fear, immense anger, immense everything. Now, it was all buried deep inside. It was all of the lack of love and respect for myself. But if you met me, I was the most powerful, strongest survivor. I was kind. I cared about people. This isn't that we're bad people. It's that we're deep asleep.
Right.
It's that our bodies are unconscious. Therefore, we're unconscious. Our body's got to wake up. Our body has to leave the old dimensions. And a lot of people will activate that consciousness and have that awareness. But then they don't understand the part that the body plays in everything. The physical body is your ascension vehicle that links up to your Merkaba. And once you physically ascend, the Merkaba collapses and then starts restructuring itself and it becomes a Stargate system. Well, then inside of your body has to evolve from a carbon-based human body. And right now, the atomic codes that are coming through are going straight for the carbon everything of the earth, of the water, of the body. It's now going to start targeting the carbon-based body, which is going to be intense for anybody who's still really human and isn't ready to open their heart and come together and exist in pure unity consciousness from a place of love. Everything not aligned with that is what appears to collapse and dissolve.
So these have just started. You called them atomic what? Codes?
They've been going all along. It's just they amplify and they increase.
Yeah.
Because our bodies actually evolved from carbon-based to crystalline, from carbon-based to, so our light body operates. New Earth, the base frequency for existing on New Earth is gamma frequency. Well, you have to achieve the ability to maintain gamma with your whole body. That's intense in the beginning. Your whole body's vibrating. Your cells are shaking. You feel like you just got plugged up to an electrical socket. It stimulates everything in your body. A lot of people think they're having strokes. It pushes the heart wide. It jolts the body awake. There's a lot. People are feeling electricity in the body and the numbness and the tingling.
Yeah.
That's your light body waking up. And so understanding that not 1 ounce of this is going to fit into the linear perception of what reality is. It's not going to. It's not meant to. And the tricky part is you can't treat the light body. The light body recalibrates and recodes your entire physical body. And so while people are trying to fix the body, they don't understand. You can't fix light. I'm trying to put this in words that make a point.
No,
okay?
You're making sense.
There's no way to treat a light body. There's no reason, because in the 5th dimension, there's no sickness. Everybody running around worrying about you. You're not protecting yourself against anything. Your light body repairs your physical body. Your light body recodes your physical body. Your light body brings your body into the 5th dimension and way above.
Yeah.
But the human body was carbon based, and it couldn't vibrate at the frequency of light, which is what shuts the body down, which is what puts people to sleep, is so that the body can integrate the light of their soul. It's photonic light. It's quantum. It's not linear. It's vibrational. It's energetic. It's not, and the thing about it is when the body is saying, I need certain things, and the human aspect is going, but no, I want this and this, or I'm not going to listen, or I don't want to slow down and go to sleep, or I'm not going to let myself get out in nature. I'm not going to go be on the lake. I'm not going to take a break. I'm going to push my body. The body will start shutting down. It cannot function and exist at the old vibration anymore, because the vibration of the earth and the atmosphere is now off the charts. The physical body has to be brought into a higher dimension, which means supporting the body,
right,
listening to the body, doing whatever it tells you to do. Above what your human wants, above, for me in the beginning, it was, I could barely get up and go to work. I was dragging. I could barely stay awake. Anything linear made me go to sleep, because it's going to. It's going against your quantum state. Every day at 3 o'clock, I was about to pass out. I'd sit there and hold my head up with my hands. I couldn't even, it was intense.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what was going on. It took me years and years and years and years until I embodied my own soul to understand everything. Your understandings come through the embodiment of your light. All of the knowledge is in your light. Human ego, the intellect, is the ignorance. It's the opposite here. It's actually what interferes. They're opposites.
The intellect makes sense.
The intellect of the human is pure ignorance on a soul level.
Yeah. Yeah.
The amount of higher consciousness intellect is cosmic intellect. It's universal intellect. It's how the entire all realities exist. It's the God particles spread throughout your body, where you become pure source light, where you understand how everything came to be created, and you actually start taking responsibility for every breath. You take responsibility for everything you create, and you transmit out into this physical world, and you're not pointing the finger at anybody else anymore. You're not blaming anybody else for your responsibility on a soul level. It means taking your power back, standing in your power. This is what's going on with a lot of people right now. They've never spoken their truth. They've never spoken or expressed themselves. Guess what's about to happen?
Yeah, I see that. I see that on this show, and it's been dynamic and beautiful and magical. Watching people step up for the first time, and then they just blossom. And it's contagious.
It's because ascension is freedom. Ascension. When you go through awakening that light inside of yourself, you've liberated yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's exciting. Look at all the people. They're so excited now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And yes, you asked me earlier, am I noticing that my world's a little different than most people's? I have such high requirements vibrationally. I let very few people into my reality for very long, because they're not conscious of what they transmit out.
Right.
And if they're not, because they don't know what their body is transmitting, they're not fully conscious from within their body and their field. And so to be in my reality, you got to be fully conscious. There's zero unconsciousness in my world. It takes a lot to toe the line here because my 24/7 is dedicated to service for humanity. My 24/7 is dedicated to what we're here to be and do. And it requires, we moved out of, like years ago, we all played in the twin game where everybody's a twin and they're triggering you and everybody's to trigger everybody's stuff and show you your mirror and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
We came into this year, everybody moved into full partnership. Everybody's a partner now.
Right.
Standing in your power, you're there to contribute. You're there to offer your support. You're there to use your resources.
Yeah.
And everything you have access to make a difference for our earth too. Well, if you're not in that place for me, there's not much room in my world because my whole world is dedicated to that. And you've got to be completely responsible and dedicated to. Does that make sense? So in my world, yes, I am experiencing that with each person who's ready. They show up in my reality and I embrace them.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know. I got to say it though.
Yeah, no, because the only choice, I think it's a great explanation, and
well,
yeah,
it's a vibrational reality. So when you achieve the vibration within you, that reality comes to you. You don't have to seek ever again.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing, and it's beautiful, and it's a lot easier.
So we focus on our vibration.
Yeah,
we focus on keeping your vibration as high as you can, because everything you've ever desired, it'll come at you as fast as it can. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
As time goes on, I feel our next step is our connection and our unity connection to each other.
Yeah.
And the power and the divinity of that. Now, one, like you were talking about, even one person putting something out, what we're doing here, putting into the divine matrix, is extremely and extraordinarily powerful. And I feel, I think you were saying that, our soul imprinting that out into the world is more significant and powerful than artificial things.
That's right.
Because of our soul. Because the artificial things doesn't have individual soul. That's right. Of source God essence.
That's right. It can only copy. And the other thing is that we now have the elementals, the plants, the animals are all with us, not to mention the galactic aspects and our multidimensional aspects, but we have, that is soul. That is the I am soul. And that's why it can't keep up with us anymore. We've tipped it. This is a great broadcast.
That's wonderful how you said that. What the soul is, the divinity, the connection, and we need to hear it.
Yes,
even though we know it. I know coming from the ultra-sensitive blue ray star seeds, because a lot of the beings, they know it. They kind of know it. Sometimes they're quiet about it, and they need to know. We need reassurance, or we just need to know that to match the frequency and the connection. Yeah. And I love what you said, because the words that I hear is vitally important that we know of soul and what the soul is. I like your connection of soul. The soul is the elements, and our unity alignment with the elements. I mean, think of all the elements.
Yeah.
The power, the divinity of that, and the galactics.
Yeah.
Because we are that.
Yes.
We are, like, each one of us is a representation from our groups.
Yeah.
Like, we're the astronaut humans.
That's right.
I came down. I'm here from my group. I'm here from many of my groups, and I see it all the time. You know, we're the ones. So we have our lineages that we're individually connected to. And we are incredible.
Yeah.
We're just. I mean, we are. I've thought of that. I've thought of that. I'm like, we are supersonic, incredibly, exquisitely amazing. Beyond that, all these beings and all this cover up, all this stuff, they got to do all that. They're so afraid
That's
of
right.
us.
Oh my God.
Us humans. They're so afraid of what? Oh, the human God essence, soul potential. They're so afraid of that they are doing. I've seen it. They've showed me what they're doing. All this disruption, and it's big. It's gargantuous. This ridiculousness. We know. We don't even have to speak it in specifics. It's all over. You know, the conspiracies and all the stuff. It's out there. It's true. However, we're so all that. We're so amazing.
Yeah.
We're God essence and form, multi-dimensional, elemental, galactic, all, and that's why. But that's why. Otherwise, that wouldn't exist. They wouldn't need to do that because they're not all that. But we are all that.
Right.
We are so all that, and I feel we're so close.
You hit it tonight, though. You actually explained it a way I haven't heard before, and I'm going to jump on the highest buildings from this day out, because all it takes, and you said it, this internet is a physical representation. It's something that was brought in actually to counter us. But what they didn't understand is that one single soul who's aligned with the elementals and the plants and the galactics, who's open and has the faith and the knowing and speaks it. There's something about speaking it. When this happens, it's more, the whole world can't hold it down. The whole AI aspect of the world can't hold down one soul. So all we got to do is get up there and start doing it. That's all we have to do. That's what you're doing tonight. That's what you did tonight, explaining that. That's what Amanda did with her two friends at the tour today. You could see everyone's tears of joy. Everyone was connected. You could see through the ethers. And the same thing's happening now. And now the dam's open. They can't stop us. In fact, this is the Jubilee. This is it. This is why we came. This is it. We didn't come just to do the work. We came to have a party.
Exactly.
We can, create something that can become an example about the new concept of how to experience art, how to create business.
Yeah.
The profit cannot be anymore the only logic behind the business.
That's right.
So we have to find new ways to cooperate and create business that have as the main important thing the social aspect, the valuable social impact that the business can provide. So this will be it's like the first factories that then create the examples, and they can be replicated.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's also the whole act, the whole the intention of the act of the intention. I mean, to actually do something and not say, "Hey, I'm going to do this, so what am I going to get for it?" It's like, it's the 5D frequency, to just like you said earlier, to be in that love frequency and service to others, knowing that the universe is going to reciprocate. Which I think we're seeing more, and I don't think, I know, we're seeing more and more and more evidence of this every single day in our lives.
This is such a huge subject, but my path, I fluctuate from being extremely human, super sensitive Mandy, you know, very human, very trod on. I fluctuate from human and bigger picture.
Yeah.
Now, in between that is galactic and angelic.
Yeah.
Right? So right at the beginning of my awakening, I was shown the fields of energy, and my path was to know how they worked. And I didn't learn it via the internet or books. I was shown it piece at a time. It's like, okay, now you need to know this. Now you need to, and I'm very visual, so I get a lot of visuals. I've actually posted about this today, and I'm going to do a video in the future about the labyrinth.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, well, this is very related to what you're saying now. So people, let's take examples of people that might relate to aspects of themselves that might be galactic. So somebody might, I mean, I actually do have influence and do get experiences that are just bam presented to me by the Lyrians.
Yeah.
So I am certainly being assisted by Lyran energy and other aspects.
Yeah.
But do I let that take over the path of ascending this human body? No.
Mm-mm.
Because within that labyrinth, so creation created the labyrinth, and we are in that labyrinth as human beings. But so are all galactics.
Yeah.
So are all angelics. So are all, you could label it, dark energies of the lower fourth. Every single dimension, as we label them dimensions, is within the labyrinth. Yeah. Everything is a light program within a light program within a light program. So when a person identifies, they might say, I'm Archangel Michael, I am Sarah, I am Jesus, I am whoever, I am, Galactic Commander, Ashtar, say.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, they're absolutely correct. They're coming from their truth. But what they're doing is they're piercing the veil, which is a membrane in the brain. They're piercing and seeing, if you imagine a hole in a membrane, and their consciousness, as they are, as human, is piercing through that hole and seeing that aspect of them as Mary Magdalene or as Ashtar or Archangel Michael. The point of that is it's a piercing through the veil. It's a piercing through the membranes within the brain.
Yeah.
It's not dissolving the veil. It's not dissolving the membrane. And ascension is about dissolving the whole membrane.
Yeah.
Because when we dissolve the whole membrane, not only do we see that we are Ashtar, Mary Magdalene, Assyrian, blue-skinned being, we see we are everything.
Yeah.
And that every single person is also everything. Yeah. So when a person, it might be that a person's life plan or light program that they come in with, it might be that they have decided to concentrate on one aspect during this lifetime. Do you see? Every single person has a different plan for this lifetime. And it may well be that one person decides before birth to concentrate on the fairy kingdom this lifetime, or crystals or dragons or this, that and the other this lifetime. But and there's no more than or less than or more important or less important. This is aspects that they and their soul has agreed to concentrate on prior to incarnation in order to evolve their soul further.
This is one of the building blocks that we have to offer ourselves and each other. When we do this, when we bring that in, we're saying, okay, no more bullshit, guys. We're not fighting there. We don't need war. We're not going to make decisions based on hate or fear. We move to love, and we say this together. We're moving into love. We choose love. Love is our guiding operational principle, love. So we choose love. And I think the next thing to do is say, we offer this love to all who are ready to receive it. And allowing ourselves to begin also becoming more aware of the brothers and sisters who are unawake, or maybe who are just starting to move into and through their fear. And just like some of us, received guidance from ascended masters and would get angels and waves from them when we needed it. At this point, it is our job to begin being that wave of love for the brothers and sisters who we paved the pathway for. We are that lantern, we are that wave of light for a lot of them. And just taking moments and energy just like this to reach out to them. Some of you can feel a lot of sadness maybe right now. Some of you can feel a lot of joy. Their ascension path is going to be a little different than ours. And no matter where we are at, we can all appreciate how good it feels to know that you are in our world. There's a big wave of people waking up right now. The biggest we've ever seen before. I'm still holding space for our brothers and sisters. And securing the energy of a safe journey across the crystal bridge for them. And as we move through these waves of bifurcation, one of the major things we're doing is we're taking out timelines that would have lower vibrational impact on them and us in the trajectory of New Earth. And so, the old way used to be that we would fight this stuff and we would really get entangled with it, but not anymore. Okay, guys? We live in the most powerful reality we create. The dominant reality is going to be the one that has the highest vibration right now. And also, there are more of us that are connected to this than we realize, right? And so the way that we ensure that this is accessible and open to all who choose is we power it up as much as we possibly can through actions like we're doing right now. And so, what else do I have written down here? So, if those of you who feel so called would like to join me, some people are going to want to stay powering up the sites. If that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. Some of the sites actually work for this. So I'm going to move to a different type of technology and I'm going to bring it in. And some of you who are connected to the crystals, the master crystals that talk, you might want to join me on this one. So let's solidify our intent and send out a beacon of love to call those who are ready to be awakened awake. For me, it's like a big, huge flash of gold light. Remember, we're not affecting anybody's free will because it's only those who want to be reached. We'll never force this on anyone. They might eventually begin to appreciate us when they realize the world is nicer. Right? So let's call them awake. And let them know they're not alone. And so some of you are in the astrals right now actually walking people across. Some of you are going through some of the earth emotions and helping to do stabilizing and balancing. Some of you are just feeling people in the astrals for the first time and are like, holy crap, and they're having a big heart opening. One of the great things about connecting in a moment like this is that there are so many of us here who have so many different capabilities, right? And so many different star aspects and elemental possibilities that we're reaching a big, huge group. And nobody is overworked because there's people with all these different skills just cooperating and doing exactly what they can do right now, which is the best that they can, you know? So whenever people talk about there's no hierarchy, whenever people talk about, you know, we just get in there and we do what we do and it doesn't really matter what the job because they're all important. All of you who are scrambling around in the astrals right now having all these experiences, that's exactly what we mean when we say that. Yeah. It takes team and all members of the team are important. And if this is your very first time, you know what? The way that you initiate into other roles is figuring out the layers of how it works over time. And so no role is insignificant, you know, and many hearts make light work. And so reminding you that you matter. And that connecting in and doing stuff like this on these days and setting the intention, setting the awakening, grounding the energy really does make a huge difference. Really makes a big change.
And when you move and you function from 0-point field, then you have plenty of time in the world. Time falls away. You do have to be able to be aware of human linear constructs and of time so that you can actually show up at things when you've agreed to.
Yeah, even if you're
because
late.
Otherwise, what?
I said, even if you're late, which I usually am.
Yeah, but what happens is once you go that slow inside, you're never late again. You're actually really early to everything. You actually show up. You're always early. The only reason I was late today is because my computer, I couldn't figure out linearly how to make it work, so I had to flop computers. But
see, I didn't even know you were late.
I was two minutes late.
But what you're talking about is moment by moment, thoughts, words,
in this
actions.
moment is the only moment that exists. In this moment, see, okay, so let me play with you for a moment. Because there's so many ways to explain this. For humans, our human aspect, our ego. And for Todd, for you, I'm going to tell you something that will actually help. When you say we, or when you refer to anybody or yourself, instead of saying I, claim which aspect you are in that moment. Mm. Which aspect are you being right now? Are you your human or are you your higher self? Mm. Most people have no clue that they've gone back into their human mentality and that they've gone human again and they've gone unconscious. The part that's with us here with hearts wide open is our higher self aspect. Yeah. The part that engages in the physical reality when somebody else is not kind, if the ego kicks in any way, that's your human aspect. That's your unconscious aspect. The part of us that has fear. The part of us puts up protection mechanisms. And the thing about it is you don't need protection anymore. You have to open your heart so you can stand in your power and say no. Yeah. Your power is through your heart. Your power is through love for yourself and each other. Your power is this is your courage. Your power is your ability to choose which earth you want to live on, literally. Old earth or new. If you want to live on new earth where everything's absolutely amazing, you have to align your life. That's how the collective starts to contribute. That's how everything changes. As each person starts taking complete responsibility for everything they're thinking and doing in their lives and the energy they're transmitting and the programs they're transmitting and the perceptions and all of these things. And then we can get into photonic light in a little while when people start activating photonic light inside of their body because it gets a little bizarre and weird.
Oh, so, yeah, I want to hear
that. We get into the, you get into be able to travel through photonic light and into the other dimensions and realities, and it gets a bit weird and bizarre for a while. Photonic light will distort realities, it will make everything scream really loud. So a distortion will go round and round and round in your head over and over and over until you hear it. And it'll bug you. It'll scream at you. A distortion will show up in your world faster so that you can see it. And photonic light amplifies distortions. So they're audible, so that they're visible, so that we can hear them and feel them. And so the more photonic light we have activated, which now is like 24/7, which is why the distortions are so loud. So those who are viewing the human reality, trying to make sense of everything, they're watching distortions and they don't understand. Those distortions represent unresolved stuff inside of them, where they're not standing in their power, where they're not being loving and respectful to themselves, where they still hold that in their cellular memory. Because most people, humans, okay, don't understand that your DNA transmits your physical reality that you walk in. So if you are not connected on a DNA level with your whole body, I can hear my DNA, I can watch my DNA, I can hear everything that's going on. I used to call it telepathic communication, but basically what happens is I have a bazillion frequencies inside of my body that I hear. And that's what I write for people every day, is when the solar sun breaks out in plasma flares, I hear, see, feel it. And I write for people, okay, here we go. Gamma starts coming in, I write about it. Now, in the early days, gamma would shut me down, but I function at a gamma state with my whole body. You have the whole cosmos available to you. I know when plasma eruptions start. I know what they hear, smell, what they sound like, what they feel like, because that's the world I walk in and live in inside. Your whole inside of your body reworks itself. You become a cosmic portal, literally. Weird and bizarre is an understatement. And our human doesn't like this part. But basically, I had to embrace the crazy. In the very beginning for me, when I started to experience the weird and the walking in the lucid dream and weird, bizarre things start happening in my physical reality and the things people call magic.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. It feels very fluid and squishy, and the ground doesn't even feel real. Have you experienced that yet?
No, not with the ground.
You will. Yeah. It will. Everything will feel, the walls will bend and breathe. You will start seeing particle matter moving and everything. It gets a little bit, when the frequencies get really, really, really high, the physical reality starts breaking down into physical matter.
Yeah.
And you can actually see it and feel it all. And what will happen is each person starts to realize how unreal the physical really is.
Yeah.
And then it brings through the awareness from that point forward how much you actually do live in a simulation, how much you actually do live in a holographic universe, how much you actually do. And it's a part of the evolution of the crystals in our body. So our pineal gland, through our heart opening, activates all the crystals in our body. Well, that's everybody's body's breaking out right now and itching.
Yeah.
That's going through that. Okay, that's crystals. Those are star particles. The coffin, stardust. Sorry, hit my headset. There's a lot of stuff going on people don't understand. It's the whole cosmos activating inside of their body. It's cosmic rays. It's radiation is what makes us glow. Well, it brings through nausea. Well, our hair starts falling out from what is mimics like chemo.
Wow.
This is the evolution of your cosmic body. Literally, the cosmic heart, the cosmic mind, the universe. We have to go through the universal body and mind first, though. There's stages and phases of this. And I have pages on my website dedicated to explaining all this stuff that I've written up. One of them's 33 pages long. There are stages and phases and initiations as a part of higher consciousness evolution, but it has to occur inside of the body. And then what happens is it then activates your field. Now, if we're not conscious and we're really human and we're not listening and we don't want to hear, then our field will activate for us and it'll push our body. And that's what's going on for a lot of people. It's activating in their field but their body is operating at a lower frequency. There's still stuff inside the body. They're humans trying to maintain control. So basically, their physical reality, if you'll look at it, everything is spinning and moving, is realigning for them, whether they like it or not. That's where you get drugged through it, is because your physical reality is taking new shape on a molecular level.
Right.
I'm going to sit with that one for a moment because I see you. You're like, okay.
No, I got it. I'm just thinking about how that makes sense, because you've got some people with varying levels of discomfort, and it would make sense that if it's changing around you, and you're the odd man out, so to speak, you know, you're it makes sense to me. And I'm thinking about my own situation.
Say people.
A lot of it.
Say people, though. Change your words. Nobody's people anymore. We have to get away with identifying the human form with an individual aspect. Does this make sense?
Okay.
Everybody's walking around in a body. It's the body they chose to incarnate to. It's the body that their light body, soul body, chose to awaken from within to. But they are galactics. All the galactics everybody keeps waiting for, they're all of us. We're supposed to unite. It's us. But your DNA has to evolve so you can be that aspect, because we don't know how to live as galactics here. We don't know how to live as souls here. We don't know how to function on a soul level because we haven't accessed that aspect of us until we have. Physical body ascension is the beginning, and then we go so far beyond there. Wow. So right now, physical body ascension is what everybody is just now trying to achieve within themselves. That's the beginning for all of us. And then we go on to the embodiment of all of our other selves and fulfilling those roles and anchoring those realities in and becoming and our DNA has to rewrite itself. So once we activate the consciousness, then every moment from that point forward is the body rewriting its DNA to hold that consciousness and transmit that consciousness from every cell.
Right on.
Am I making sense in different ways? Because I have to bring it in from every direction and go through it. Our head is thick, if you'll notice, and we have to keep saying it and bringing all these other understandings in.
Yeah. So
we're not channels anymore. Go ahead.
Right. No, keep going.
But in the beginning, we are.
Yeah. Because we've embodied it. Right.
We do embody it. Each person embodies it as they become it fully in every aspect of their life.
Right.
Not just one aspect. So like a lot of people think that their job and their home life and their family, they're all different things. No, they're not. Everything has to align with this. Right. Everything. Your money has to align with this, or you'll have no money. Humans don't understand the purpose of things. We do. Everything serves a higher purpose here. So everything we get serves the highest purpose for humanity. So we don't do without anymore.
I want to shout out to the Blu-rays, and it's interesting when you were sharing about the blue energy, because I've been feeling this kind of blue wave energy as well, and kind of ushering through. And the blue wave energy is kind of ensuing us to speak up, and to be who we are, and to share the gifts, and to not be downtrodden. The Blu-ray is being kind of amped up. And now the Blu-ray, like a typical Blu-ray, I think I'm a typical Blu-ray, but it comes through the sacred divine feminine. Okay. So it's very honoring and it's very respectful, okay? Because we're putting the balance, because there needs to be a little bit more of a balance on this planet. And so that's why we do it through the sacred divine feminine. That's why we don't go out in the dead of winter and plant seeds, because you flow, you go with, you honor creation. But we're being asked to kind of to come out more in our essence, to step up, to share.
Yep.
And also, I've noticed too is that this also means that when you are in a situation that you could have been in before, because you are allowing more of the resonancy of who you are, your God essence. Also, what's happening is other situations and other people and other relationships, even locations, are going to start rubbing you the wrong way.
That's right.
Because it's like your frequency resonancy is not being supported by that other way, that other relationship, that other situation, and so it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so if that's happening, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's
right.
that's your beingness saying that this is not the high situation for you anymore now. It may have been a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, or even the place that you live in.
Yeah.
Now it's time to move on because you have expanded.
That's right.
And you need to continue to expand, and you need to be supported. That's important. We need to be supported. We need to be in situations that support us, support who we truly are.
Support our true, to what we truly are. Our multidimensional star seed, blue rays, all of that stuff. And the thing is, the heart is the monitor. If we as a star seed are walking around with a half full heart, that's what we're putting out. The monitor, the barometer is the heart. The more we expand that heart, regardless of what the world thinks, regardless of whether it conforms with the 3D matrix or not, but it lights up this divine matrix, it lights it up like a fireworks show. This is all we have to do. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's more than that. And like you said, we need that support from each other in our environments, but at the same time, we need to understand the more we expand our heart, the more our light being star families are supporting us, the elementals, the plants, the animals, they are. The universal is supporting us. I'm seeing it, I'm living proof, and I'm getting more and more conviction about it every time I do one of these shows, especially today. Powerful day.
It is. It's amazing. I feel that is our that's part of our next step. And I love that our heart is the monitor.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray, we have to go through the heart. We have to go through that. That's the sacred divine feminine, the nurturing. We have to go through that. And it takes bravery. And it takes courage. I mean, you're a strong, amazing, brave warrior. When you can do that, that's a true warrior. To live to the power of your heart.
Yes. And
we all know that the power, they've done studies. I mean, the heart is way more frequency, way more powerful. And I think even more than, I don't think we even know yet.
No.
I don't even think we don't even know the capacity of the power of everything is put together here. We're here because of love. Yeah. We exist because of the power of love.
That's right. And being true. I want to share something with you. I want to share something with you that happened to me yesterday with Morgan. What really happened to me, but she was there to help me get through it, being the incredible blue ray that she is. So we've all done a lot of inner work. And I thought my inner work, whatever you want to call it, I thought I'd seen the worst of it, But I had a run-in with my inner child yesterday. And I mean, it was brutal. It was inconceivable to me. And of course, this is all metaphorical. So the child was shackled, and she said, talk to him, you know, and take the shackles off. Is he okay now? And then I saw what I consider my cosmic mother and father, as metaphorically speaking, because that's all a human brain can do. Yeshua and Magdalene came in and held the child, right? And I thought, well, okay, everything's cool now. And then she's like, well, check with him. Is he okay? He wasn't okay. He wasn't happy with the mother and the father. And the whole thing ended up transcending into, I'm the mother and father. I'm Magdalene and Yeshua energy. And the child came into my heart. And my point here is that being true and authentic, and that love is most necessary, most impactful for yourself. And it's not just words. This was a deep shadow that I wasn't really totally conscious of, that I needed to heal. But it took love to do that. And Morgan always says it takes 2 to 5 days for the human to catch up. I'm on day 2, and I don't know what's going to happen the next 3 days, but I feel like I'm on fire. And I know that the courage it took, and I'm not saying because it's me, because we've all done it, but the courage to dig deep in there and be honest with yourself. If you have someone supporting you, that's great. But the courage to deal with the illusion that we've bought into, where they got us the most, all this AI stuff is impactful, but where they got us was in our consciousness. That's where they attacked us, you know, and that's no longer there. It won't be supported. It is not pure love. We are pure love. So I'm just going to encourage each and everybody to dig. Don't run from those thoughts that appear in your head. Don't run from those images. This is you. This is your higher self, your multidimensional aspects telling you how to move to the next level. Thank you for letting me share that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful.
What do you think we're getting into the rest of the year? Because I mean, wow. I mean, this is like, September is just like huge. I mean, I'm expecting to see fairies and leprechauns in the next 30 days.
I have I mean, for me, I have already reached a level of really high dimensional lifestyle also, and the frequency in my side. So I really hope that everyone can get to the same level in order to create something that will be so strong, because I discovered that everyone, it's exactly on the perfect location that is useful to activate the ley line that is in the grid, Yeah. So we are located exactly where these ley lines are. And I saw, it's absolutely amazing, because I saw this post from Amanda about this Saint Archangel Michael ley line. And I am born exactly on the point in Italy, on the south, where this line crossover. And without knowing, I've been in all the places of this line, because in the past they were building sanctuaries, because they knew that in this point there was an energetic vortex of the ley line. And so how we are healing all these ley lines, that is the same process that is happening in the body. So it's like, the microcosm and the macrocosm are absolutely the same. We have the ley lines in the body, we have the ley lines in the planet.
Yeah.
So as we clean our ley lines and we activate the Kundalini, as the same we have to do with the planet to heal these ley lines where too much fear was, the energetic vibration was only fear. And so we have to shift this polarity. And when all the ley lines of the planet are healed, then you can have an event such a cosmic big event, like a cosmic impact that can create a shift also for those that are not ready. So nobody knows when this will happen, and nobody knows how this will happen, but this is something that for sure will happen, because it's a technical process. As you activate your kundalini inside, and when the flow reach the crown, the same happens in the planet. So when the flow will reach the crown of the planet, then you have a big event.
Yeah, a big soulgasm.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities between the process of the body and the process of the big bodies, like the Earth or the Gaia, or like we have absolutely the same technical shift for everyone.
So,
let's keep going.
So the point is, there's no right or wrong. Ultimately speaking, there's no right or wrong ascension. What there are billions of facets, given billions of light programs that, from our human perspective, we put into stories, we put into storyline.
Yeah.
Ultimately speaking, there's one whole storyline.
Yeah. To me, they're like memories. I know when I woke up, it was Jesus and Magdalene telling me a story about who I was. I never took it literally. I took it, from what I could understand at the time, cosmically.
Yeah.
I thought, well, this is something that it's not literal. It's not like, I was actually their offspring, not in the human literal sense. And then later on, it's a memory from Avalon. Yeah. And are this incarnate, or 7 or 8 different ones that I had right off the bat. And to me, they're memories, no different than our past memories that we can remember from our human consciousness. And again, these are all tools and clues. And like you said, I love what you said about, I've never heard that before, about piercing the membrane. So it's like you pierce the membrane and you see this light coming in, and you're just like looking at it going, okay, that's it. Well, that's not it. You're actually...
Yeah, there's a whole bigger picture to it.
Yeah.
So I go from being very human and, completely lacking in confidence, completely run over by everybody. That's my whole life. To this is the craziness, from that, which is the less, the least worthy person, to actually seeing the whole picture. So I don't focus on galactic whatsoever. I know there's aspects there because they've been shown to me. And Lyran energy, the overriding energy of Lyra, just literally says, right, okay, here you are. You need to know this now. Mm-hmm. I don't intentionally connect to anything. I do not even try to connect to any energies, but that's my path, because I'm not going to go down distractions, because for my path to concentrate on one particular aspect of myself, which might be Syrian or Lyran, to concentrate on, or the dragon energies, to concentrate on that isn't my path.
Right.
My path is to see the overall picture, which is why I was shown the labyrinth. But for another soul, their path could easily be to concentrate and get the detail and have the experiential detail of this aspect and then this aspect. So there's no right or wrong with any of this. That's the beauty of it, is there's absolutely no right or wrong to anyone's path. They're doing exactly as per they should be doing and they've agreed to do before they came in. And that's where I find some human sadness in me, because people can judge other people. There can be this underlying current within the spiritual community of judging and envy and jealousy and all this stuff, or no, they're not telling the truth and they're not telling, you know, and all of this. And it's, when you look at the whole, it's actually all true. It's all experience, and there's actually no better than or less than.
That's right.
Because creator as one is not better than or less than itself. It just is. It just is. And everybody just is. They're having their experience, and everybody should be honored. If they were honored, if everybody honored everybody, it's game over, isn't it?
Well, we don't want game over yet. I think, but you know, and I love what you said too, because like if I go back to the conversation we had the other day, and then I got off and went upstairs and lay down, it was a Lyrian experience. So maybe as we each have a role of the whole, as a component of the whole, we each have specialties or missions here. And so maybe what happened there was you opened up Lyrian, the piercing of the Lyrian in the membrane for me. And this goes on with everybody. If you've got someone, you know, if you take someone like Lisa Transcendence Brown, the things that she opens for people, or you open for people, or Morgan opens for people. I mean, this is kind of what it is. So it's less, it's just their role, our role, you know.
That's, you know, if everybody thought of that, it's every single person, whether they're awake or asleep, doesn't matter. Every single person holds a piece to the whole picture, to the whole puzzle. Every single one of us. Whether a person can remember it, is consciously aware of it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. They hold it. They're here for a reason.
So each of us has specific things that we are here that we care about, right? There are light workers of all different types and all different sorts who have all different backgrounds. There are going to be some of us who care an awful lot about one thing that means, you know, that doesn't catch the attention of a lot of others. And so one thing I want to think about when you look at the diversity of the things that people right there were just concerned about and interested in is that all of these things are going to find ways of resolution, or we're going to co-create out of them, simply because you guys are the ones that are actually calling forth the energy of that resolution, that energy of that co-creation here on Earth. And so the fact that there are so many people with so many interests who are starting to kind of work on the various parts of this, you know, I have somebody very close to me that is doing something that would scare the living crap out of a lot of people related to the financial system. You know, and it's like, in some ways, some people would say it was so 3D, you know, she's going through a court procedure, and it's like, she's in there holding the love and the light of this thing that's basically going to show a loophole for the economic, you know, the falsity of certain forms of economic loans in the United States industry, you know. And so it's like, there are people that are finding very specific ways to begin anchoring these intentions, these energies into not only the disintegration of the old system, because there are some truths that we got to show through it, which many of you were making points to just now, but it's also showing that new way, and, you know, not going into battle mindset, but more going into, we are going to create a different way to do this. We are going to step around how that is done. And we understand that, you know, no longer can we beat our heads against the wall. It really is that time to move it. And so when we take the time to set the etheric space, the astral space of these energies, what we're doing is helping to make it so that we can create the earth reflection mirror point of grounding them through things like the opportunities and actions that we call into ourselves. You know, these new earth realities are created in the way that we live our day-to-day life. So, you know, you want to talk about balanced economic commerce. Okay, so you find a way to start a co-op, you know, where you're able to do certain forms of trading or sharing that is more sustainable, or you find ways to set up a new type of, you know, you doing the new type of vertical farming, or you're moving into some form of food production that is less wasteful and more locally based, which then would lead to, you know, community autonomy. These are all things that are going to be inspired in the hearts and minds of people just like us. You know what I mean? Like the co-creation exists in people just like us. Yep. Standing here, having ceremonies like this, coming together, sharing our intention, and recognizing that we truly are the architects of the new world. So yes, we use days like this to call forward the energy of what those ideas might be. And yes, we use days like this, you know, to anchor our intention whenever there are specific alignments. But I also want to remind you all just how important what you're doing on a day-to-day level as you're grounding these intentions, as you're making these changes of reality is just as, if not more important. Because you're really the ones that are carrying forward the dream. You're really the ones that are making this reality possible. And so I honor all of you right now for all that you came here with today in your heart, and for the time. You know, I can feel that some people took this very seriously, you know, and took a lot of time thinking about their intentions. And it's moving to me, because that heart that you put into this is the same heart that you're putting into the planet. And that's exactly what we need.
Yep, that's right.
You know what I mean? This is exactly what we need. And it's an honor that you choose to share those here, and that you choose to work with me and Todd.
Very powerful.
This, you know, and so I'm going to begin clearing out our energy of a connection, and we can have some sharing in a second. I just want to formally say thank you to all of you who have been connecting and anchoring this whole time on their personal and their planetary work. And I'm going to say, let's release that connection now. I only cried once. This is good. That's like, usually I cry like 3 or 4 times during these things. And so now I'm going to disconnect the connection that I made to your energy fields for those of you who connected with me. And I'm just going to make sure that there's no lingering stuff. How was that for you, Todd? How was your experience?
Very good. I didn't know what you were going to do, and I loved it. I love it. I see the energy of it, because I see the energy of the audience. And you're right. And every time they put something up, that heartfelt intention that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. It's huge. And I'm honored to be here, and honored to see so many people participate the way they have.
Yeah, we had a pretty good turnout for the ceremony. That was a good one for us. Huge. You know, so it's the stuff that we talked about in here. I just want to say is like, this is stuff, like I said, you guys can return to at several points throughout this thing, right? Because this is not, these techniques work all the time. It's not just a today thing. And so if you wanted to also receive the energy transition that I was doing, you can go back and watch this again, right? And the recording is going to have the same effect. So if you're feeling a little jagged as you're working through your transition, and you're like, geez, you know, I don't really have the money for a session, but I would really like some energetic support, just connect right back into this. Just connect right back into what we were doing here. And I also have a bunch of ones, like I have other ones on my website too. Like I have the last year's Lionsgate on 80 Crow Energetics, my YouTube page. So, I mean, if you want some more, you can go ahead and you can connect to that one too. It's a different ceremony.
Everything is yours. And so basically I'm like, universe, show me my future. And all of a sudden the words came through me, because they're you. They're your higher self. They're your soul talking to you inside. The only thing is you have to learn to discern which is which, because you have to pay attention to the energy of it.
Right.
And humans don't have that capability. You're listening to your other dimensions inside. You're listening, you're talking to your soul, you're talking to your universe, your galactic aspects, all of them. in order to get the information. And once I started embodying, I didn't have once you physically ascend, all of that collapses and unifies into the same vibration of this moment right here. There's no more separation anymore.
Including past, present, time.
All of it. There is no, all it is, then it just becomes a vibration. Time ceases. Okay, so I started doing this with you earlier and I stopped. To the human, the past is over to the left and the future is off to the right. And the present moment is right in front of you, or to the human, it might be straight ahead. But what they don't understand is when you function from 0 point field, the past and the future collapse into this moment right here, and time goes up. It doesn't go laterally anymore, whatever that way is. If you want something from your future, when you become your higher self, you're from the future. And you bring the future into this moment and you function from that future place, if you will.
Right.
And the thing about it is that everything at that point becomes a vibration. You just tune to that vibration. It's quantum. You're tuning to that reality. You're tuning to that holographic field. You're tuning to where it's located. And then you shift and tune your vibration to match that vibration. Well, your physical body doesn't have the capability yet, which is why all the sleep is involved, which is why all the resting, which is why the neural pathways have to open up, which is why all of the stuff that's going on inside of the physical body to basically recalibrate, recode, and redo everything inside your physical body. It's all inside the body. Everything's inside. So if you want to know anything, you close your eyes and you go so deep inside of yourself that you can fully connect. So that you can fully hear. And the only thing on a human level, we feared the emotions, we feared the thoughts, we feared physical pain, we feared death. The thing about it is once you face all those fears and you get okay with them, the whole thing starts to dissolve. They're not even real anymore. They're real because you believe them. They're real because you make them real. They're real because you fear them. And they're real because you keep recreating them in your physical reality world to experience over and over and over again. And they will be real as long as you do.
Yeah.
If you focus all your energy on your highest dimensional everything, it doesn't really matter what it is. I focus on my vibration every day. And if it's like years ago, I started realizing while everybody else was running around trying so hard, every time I wanted a different reality, I just go to sleep. Okay, universe, bring me a new reality. I just go get in the bed. Everybody else is beating themselves to death really, really hard. Got to do this, got to do that. And I was like, nope. And I'd go get in the bed and I'd go to sleep. And you travel, you get to see everything. And your body is clearing all the programming that was in the way. If I had a rough day, I went and got in the bed and I might clear it from my body. That's when I started writing activations for people to help them clear all of that stuff because it's all in the body. And I would go to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd say, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be in a completely different reality, completely different energy, completely different timeline. You basically have to start claiming it and bringing it forth and expecting it. Yeah. Where things don't shift, you're going to wait until they do. But basically, every night I have things, every night I go to bed right now, I'm like, okay, clear everything. I don't really care. Let it go. When I wake up, bring on the awesome. And I get up every day and that's my focus. I'm ready. Anything is the beauty of higher dimensional existence is that you are always ready. And you're always doing whatever it takes to align your realities to the highest vibration of pure love and pure light. Not words, love and light. A lot of people run around love and light. And for a while, we stopped even saying those words because everything's been kind of worn out.
Yeah.
This is your existence as love. This is how you treat each other. This is how you treat yourself. This is the level of respect that you have for each other on a soul level.
Yeah.
Humans measure things by human rules and laws. That's not what this is about. This is, do you really care about each other enough to open your arms, enough to open your heart, to actually embrace and share what you've got? Humans don't share.
Yeah.
This is mine.
Yeah.
And should our initiation processes and passageways that we have to go through on a human level. And this is identifying when you're human. In this moment, which aspect are you? Well, I feel really human right now. Well, then expand your consciousness.
Yeah.
Elevate your consciousness. Get your vibration up. Open your heart more. And if every person on this earth treated each other with respect and love and integrity and shared everything that they have, their contacts, their money, their resources, their things, there would be no anything going on. But each person doesn't do that. So what happens is that they will experience exactly what they need to get their heart open so they're ready to. And that's what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every moment is.
Yeah. I love that.
So get every bit of this. Once you function from a pure state of unity, love, consciousness from within yourself, your world is not collapsing anymore. It's just more awesome than it was the moment before, constantly. Yeah. But you're also willing to do whatever it takes to make your reality, to get your reality aligned. If every person realized that every decision they make, every breath they breathe affects the consciousness of everything.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly right.
There's a tons more, so I'm going to let you talk and then we'll go in different directions because you know how we flow.
No, I love it.
Which direction you want to go?
Well, one of the things that I've observed in my own life, is you now have two or more come together and you start to have these experiences together.
Yes.
What is that all about?
It's the exchange. Well, it depends. Whether it is an ego-based human experience or a higher dimensional, bizarre, weird, awesome, amazing electrical one.
That's what I mean. I'm talking about the things that we're moving towards.
It's because you're unifying your field of consciousness and you're actually using each other to activate a higher state of consciousness together. Yeah. You're using each other to uplift. You're using each other to inspire. You're bringing your fields of consciousness together in order to create and experience more of the higher dimensional realities.
Right.
Together. And what it does is when we all unify our fields, it's the most powerful thing there is. It's beautiful. But it means our hearts and our minds have to be open. So at first we went through everybody trying to get their heart open. Well, then their mind has to completely open. You have a unified higher mind consciousness too. And when your higher mind consciousness starts to activate through your heart, through living as your soul, that's where all your knowledge comes from. Okay, and it obliterates human knowledge. That higher intellect, that higher consciousness intellect, it is built on from a quantum state of consciousness. It's when you are in that heart space and you are fully expanded, you understand everything right then, right?
Right.
And that's what this is. Fully present within the moment, fully engaged, fully interaction, unifying our fields of consciousness. Now, if somebody goes human in that moment and their head kicks in, pay attention to what happens to the field of consciousness when somebody's heart closes and their ego comes in. What happens?
Disappears.
It's abrupt.
Abrupt. All right.
It's abrupt. It's intrusional. It creates a disruption in the field, and all of a sudden, everybody else is having to compensate for that. You have to adjust your field.
Yeah.
If everybody's heart is open, it's the most beautiful experience you've ever had. It's amazing. But the moment somebody's heart closes and somebody gets in their head, the whole vibration changes. The energy changes. And it will then, this is where I'm going to play. It will then transmit different coordinates to actually carry you to an unconscious dimension to experience that until you've recalibrated the field to a higher consciousness dimensional one. You can shift right back if everybody can become conscious in that moment. and re-experience that beauty. But what people, humans, don't understand is that you can't do it with your intellectual mind. You have to do it through your heart being wide open. And humans close their heart out of protection and fear. Yeah. They live from the root chakra.
Yeah.
And it means realizing that your light is, I wrote a thing about this, that your light is your protection. You don't need protecting anymore. You got to open your heart so huge that you don't go small.
Yeah. The best defense is a good offense, right?
Except, yeah, but we're not offensive either.
No, I mean,
but yes.
Shine your light. Just shine it.
If you'll notice, pay attention to the ego. It's intrusive. It's impositional. It's very resistant. And you'll notice the energy of these things. And so the beauty of what we're going through now is that collectives have awoken to higher consciousness. And they're actually choosing to open up now and share. They're actually choosing to step into their light. They're actually choosing to be the light. They're actually choosing instead of hiding.
So I'm experiencing this. We're experiencing this. We've been waiting for these waves. We've been waiting upon this planet for these particular alignments because they bring forth frequency. They bring forth a higher resonancy and a higher alignment of what I feel is our unity consciousness. And I mean, it happened in 2012. That was huge. There was so much that happened in 2012. So many people awakened in 2012. I've been finding out, years later, and it's very interesting because there were a lot of people too that were a little sad after 2012. A couple years later, or like a year later, because they thought something else was going to happen.
Right.
But what happened was so many people that I've met now who completely had a massive awakening, a massive shift of their lives that have, like, they become on the path. They started to walk on the path. They had such an enlightenment, and I've heard this over and over about 2012. So what happened is that it happened. It's happening. This is all happening. It's all happening in our time frame. It's all happening in the way that we can receive it, because it's really important that we're able to receive it. It's also important as our consciousness and our intention and our coming together. That is extremely significant and extremely powerful. That's the power of the gods.
Yes.
We are the power of the gods when we come together like this. When we come together in time sequence of energies, when we have these alignments with the planet, it's really significant. It's very powerful. And shift and awakenings, it does happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen always the way that our mind wants it to happen. Sometimes we have these expectations of how it's going to happen. We're just going to pop into this new earth just suddenly.
Right.
I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing, however, is that I'm also experiencing now more than ever, like in the last couple of years, of like there's a better understanding about timelines and time shifts. Like I go through time shifts. I go through like markers of destiny, that I'm on the path that I didn't experience as much, let's say, like 3 years ago. I'm really experiencing that like so much. I'm experiencing so much. Things in my world are becoming so real and right before me.
Right.
The inner dimensions, so very much, are more blended, more real. And our capacity, our crystalline structure, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I feel. Our capacity to know and experience the greater essence of our divine original blueprint, of who we are, and our unity connection, and the divine holy matrix. That's big with me.
Yeah.
Living here, somehow living here at Cathedral and the Vortex in Sedona, because I walk the land all the time, and I am aware. I'm aware that I'm in a place on the earth that, well, first of all, has serious high resonancy crystals with the red rock and the crystals. I mean, this whole place is just a giant red rock crystal. I mean, there's crystals all through the red rock. But I'm very aware of the connection, the ley line center connection that goes out throughout the entire earth. This divine holy matrix that we're on, the crystalline structure, the crystalline grid. It's real to me, and important. It's very important. It's important because it's important because of the internet. Our grid, our divine holy metrics. This is important to, I feel, humanity because of the internet.
How does the internet fit in? How does the internet fit in? Like right now, you're over there on that one big red rock crystal. We're broadcasting that crystal, and I guess where I'm at geographically are combined, or enhancing the broadcast. Maybe, I don't know. How does the internet fit in?
Absolutely. So what I have known, there's a couple things about the internet. What I have known is that the internet mimics, the internet physically 3D-ish mimics our divine holy matrix.
Wow. And
for whatever reason, that we've had to do this mechanical thing. In the beginning, it took me a while to get on a computer. I had a computer, and it was a pretty one back then. It was purple. It was a purple computer. It was one of those. It's a different kind. It was an iMac, and I got one. And my husband got it for me when I was married at the time, and it sat for a whole year. And just having that in my place, I just would look at it for a whole year because I knew what it meant. I knew what that computer meant. I know what was happening. I knew because of Atlantis. I knew in Lemuria, but mostly Atlantis. I knew where we were going because of that computer. And I knew that the internet was mimicking the divine holy matrix. However, like I said, we were instead of us connecting in telepathically through our blueprint to each other, to the whole grid of who we are, to the divine holy matrix, we were creating this simulated computer thing, this internet thing.
Right.
And it's good. It's good in ways because it connects us in ways. And I also feel that having these kind of things, having whatever that it is, whatever that you are, whatever that you're connected to spiritually, whatever is your path, whatever is your purpose, whatever is your sharing of your heart, of your spirit, to bring that forth to the internet.
Yeah.
Share that frequency, because this is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
We're putting this into the frequency of the whole internet.
Yeah.
We have a resonancy now. There's a resonancy frequency that exists and will continue to exist always, because that imprint will be there.
Yeah.
Because of what we're doing right now.
Yes. This is,
So,
I totally resonate with this. Great
yeah,
explanation.
I'm starting to get the chills.
No, I've seen so many people shifting in the last months that I started, because when I started to post, I didn't know what to expect, or I just say, okay, let's go. You can become public, because in the past I was just posting for my friends, but nobody was following me. So I just was posting for myself, basically. But then when you start to share with others, and you have so many people contacting you because they want information, you see how your work, it's absolutely important to put people together. It's not just about the message, or it's also keeping people together every day on a same vibrational concept. And we are there, we are together, let's go together. We don't need to separate, we don't need to create this division. We are all together, and we are going there doing the same job. So yeah, this is what I want to do with my post.
Totally respect and honor us. I mean, we're like the darlings of the universe. This is the big deal going on right now.
Yeah.
See, back to the star families. So how, if you would, how would you, because this is becoming more and more widely accepted.
Yeah.
And like we said at the top of the show, awareness itself is knowledge coming in, but we got to take some action and convert that to wisdom. How would you go about, outlining for anybody, any of us, to connect to our star family lineage, our home planets, that type of thing?
Thinking about how I work with people, most people who come my way are not embodied, so they're walking around with a lot of trauma, so they're not actually in their body and not connected to Earth. A lot of people, star seeds, have difficulty with actually anchoring to Gaia. So I would say, often I say to people, walk barefoot on the Earth, so you can feel Gaia's energy and feel held with Gaia. Because if you're not embodied, then you want to be somewhere else, so you're not present in the present moment.
Yeah.
So being present in the moment as well. And it's all about connecting with the heart. So you can talk about, you need to do this and that with your chakras, or do this.
Yeah.
It's not.
But what you're saying is the heart is the telephone.
Yeah.
So we get into our heart, connecting with Gaia, and then we dial the number.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that easy, and we make it difficult.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will be opened. Right.
Yeah.
Some of those old sayings in the old sacred books do apply. Now, go ahead.
Also, finding places where you're not in the noise and the heavy vibration, and not being too hard on ourselves. Because if we, you know, we're working 9 to 5, we've got kids, responsibilities, we're knackered, maybe not eating the best that we can. So certain foods will lower our vibration. So finding spaces where we're more relaxed, that we're feeding our body well. So being out in nature, you're away from that noise, you know, that heavier energy vibration.
Yeah.
And so when you're more relaxed, you're more got that higher vibrational nourishment. Then you, and also tuning into the beauty, that raises your vibration and opens your heart. And then that's when the higher dimensional beings, or whatever beings, can come and connect. And it is all in us there. It's just we were surrounded by, I call it noise, but what we feed our bodies. In fact, I was having a conversation with a dear friend today who was talking about sugar. You know, you've got caffeine, carbohydrate, all those substances that we use to try and escape and deal with being in the world that we're in. Yeah, so being, you need to kind of, that sounds like I should. So away from the needs and shoulds, but sort of listening to ourselves. And for me, when I've asked for teaching dreams that have guided me, I've asked give me a dream to help me on my path. Give me a dream to help me, guide me to somewhere on the land that can help me on my path. And it's always been in the land that I've had the biggest connections with my starseed families, not in noise. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's been for 7 years, find the path of many trees. And every now and then I'll be walking down the street and I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the path of many trees again. And typically that's when there's, maybe it's because it's conscious, you know, it like triggers something on a conscious level. And then I know I'm about to get into something. It happened to me when I first got here to Hawaii and ran into the dragons. That was quite interesting. Now you work pretty close with the dragons or understand them pretty well. It seems like you do.
It's still quite recent, to be quite honest.
Is it? Okay.
But having said that, I only the other day found a picture that I'd hidden away. Again, it's like ego mind. Yeah. And I'd done it years ago, and I thought, why have I hidden that away? I've got and I put it on my wall now, and it's got a dragon with I can get it. Hold on.
Yeah. She hid it away because she didn't want them to put her in the loony bin.
Well, yes.
It's funny. The sister that I'm renting a room with, she pulled out a drawing her son did like 30 years ago the other day. Oh wow! Here, let me put the screen on there. Wow, that's beautiful.
So there's a baby.
Yeah. I see it. Oh yeah! Wow. Can you put that a little closer? Oh yeah. Y'all can see the fetus inside the womb there. Wow, that's a fascinating picture. That would make a hell of a tattoo.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, do you feel that the dragon energy has a specific type of message? Because it's been very prominent in the last month or so. With the stuff I've been seeing on news feeds and with people, what they're writing about and talking about.
For me, it's a divine feminine source energy and connected with Kundalini. So for me, I'm still exploring, or we always explore, but they're I don't know whether it was a couple of years ago, there's very much a bit like Avalon, so my brain goes all over the place.
That's okay. We're multi-dimensional. We all get you.
Somebody I was going to connect with, I was tuning in and I got the word Avalon, and I've actually resisted and felt no connection with the word Avalon. Me personally, I couldn't get on with the Mists of Avalon, the book. And like the whole King Arthur, unrequited love, I'm like, I just couldn't get on with it. But then when I heard the word Avalon, I felt the vibration. And I thought, actually, there's a fifth dimension Avalon.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the myth.
Yeah.
The myth had elements of that.
Yeah.
And then I understood. So you've got dragon energy throughout that.
Yeah.
So that's, and then I experience those celestial dragons. I experience a celestial whale energy. So I experience whales have come. They're like star beings. They've kind of they've been part of the web externally from Gaia, and then they came to be in the ocean and they're immense.
Yeah.
So there's an immensity and like to dragon, that they can be elemental and star vastness.
Yeah.
And yet we have that energy, like the divine flame in us, we have that kundalini.
Yeah.
Then there's actual dragons, like energies, beings that are in particular parts of the land. I'm to be honest with the dragons, I'm just sort of, and then I had that whole experience of dragon being the all.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's all kind of all interconnected.
It's very prominent right now. And for me, I wrote a piece a few days ago, and I said, you know, for all the divine essences that I've come across, it's the most powerful one that I've come across, because there's a and it is, for me, it's not all feminine, but it's a very, very powerful mother goddess type of feminine energy. But it's a type of power that I've not seen before. It's beyond masculine. It's got all the masculine, it's got everything you've seen plus some. But it's it's pretty amazing that so many people have been talking about it, and there's got to be a reason for that. Another thing I want to point out is what you said about Avalon. I was reading an article the other day, and I forget who it was. The gentleman was talking about how it's time for us to start looking at our mythology. Because there's clues in our mythology. And a great point that he made was, you know, go back and look at this, because this stuff is real. It happened, but
again, unless you actually take that on and implement it, and changing those words alone is very powerful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or I need to do this. I did that for 72 hours, by the way. And then the mother goddess took me out to the lagoon and whipped my ass. But I'm okay now. But no, you're right. And that's what I love about your message, because you're talking about, I've got 23 years and I've reached this alignment, that alignment. But at the end of the day, I have to embody this. I have to be, you know. And
well, I'm very real and raw, and darling, part of my mission, because we're shifting now to high vibration frequency. I'm being guided to shift this now out of what you're asking and sharing is, because I've been doing it for so long, as a first. They keep letting me know as a first, and I had to accept that. It took me a long time to accept that, but it's actually my truth. Hang on, there's actually some downloads coming in now as well.
Perfect.
It's all happening live.
Perfect. This is what it's all about.
It's about helping others to step into their mastership of themselves in being very real, while also it's like I have one foot here in this, grounded as an ascended earth master, but I also have one foot, that looks a bit funny, up in the astrals with my spiritual soul, and I'm doing both at the same time and bringing the realness in and the follow through of all the other information that's coming through on the planet. Through my life's experiences, what I wrote the other day was very real about near-death experiences, about feeling in a void, and pushed where no one else is writing that stuff. And so I live I'm living proof of what I'm sharing. And it helps others see I'm real, I'm raw. I've had addictions. I've had a lot of things happen to me. I've been through a lot. I can be real and honest with you to help you to help yourself. Pardon?
And you cuss.
Yeah. I haven't so far.
I just told on you. No, but that's real.
I don't hide that either. It just slips out.
That's real.
I've been a good girl if it didn't come out today so far. We've still got time. It's all right. Give me time.
Yeah, we got 36 minutes for a few F-bombs.
But it's authenticity and realness that people are now really looking and searching for. They're wanting more. They're wanting more realness, and it's about getting real with themselves. But the energy is here.
Yeah.
It's time for us to shine.
Yeah.
It's time for us to come out more now. It's time. We are masters. We are ascending, and we are gathering. We are at a time like no other of gathering together. Many souls I meet that I'll say it's great to reconnect with you again. The resonation is so strong. We know we've known each other before. We all come from the same divine spark. And we're meeting up and we're getting stronger. Changes are happening, and we are part of the change, because there's a lot that's still not. And it's not up to us to go into the energy spaces anymore and rescue and help.
Yeah. Thank you.
We've got to do it in a different way now. We've got to claim our sovereignty, our divinity. There's a lot to this. And we do it bit by bit with divine guidance, faith and trust.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us have lack of self-confidence. Hugely. I did as well. We need gentleness, unconditional love with gentleness. You know, there's just a lot of love here to be shared. And you being here and coming up and out and helping all of us through you is huge. We are doing this.
Yeah.
We are making it through. We are breaking through. We're doing some really big things. I mean, we let go of the bigger picture. We're not God of the world. A lot of people, I say to them in jest, I go, you're not God of everyone. In a good, I say it in a good way, because they feel responsible, love humanity. I just want to do this. I say, and that's wonderful. So pray, hand it over, do what you got to do, and let go and come back into your space. Don't go into the fear. Don't go into all these things that are happening in the world. We each do it. We're each a light, a light, a light, a light, and we're starting to meet up. We're starting to meet up in Uluru, 12th to 14th of January. It's on my Facebook and on my bluebeyondguide.com website. The tickets are still available.
Is that a multiple day conference?
12th to the 14th with many speakers, many beautiful other speakers. I'm so excited, looking forward to meeting other masters and those that are going to come as well, because that's the solar plexus of the world.
Wow. I was going to say, so you're talking about this gathering, and I've heard other people talking about it. Does it resonate with you that there are certain places on the earth, such as Uluru, or what it's called, or Ramat, are they brighter lights? These I don't know what you want to call them. These portals.
Look, I'm not the expert, darling. I am not the expert on this. I just know that in 1992, when I was in the military, that I went on a variety club car rally. It's a big fundraiser here. This is before I was consciously awake. And as we were driving up to it, I could feel it. Before I even knew any of this, I'm like, I can feel the energy. I was overwhelmed with the energy going towards it. So it's pretty full on. It's huge energy. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting it later.
I've heard that. It is. But I mean, what I was getting at is like, it seems like that, I don't know, well-lit souls, like begets like, the gathering is occurring in these, in these points. And then from that point, they all come together and leave with a brighter light, and it just continues. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Well, we feel it. I felt it a year ago when I saw that Laura Eisenhower was speaking, and it hit me like that. And I went, I need to go there. it was just a given, the connection again. And it took a whole year before I was asked to be a guest speaker. And I'm like, yeah, that was a
right
pretty
on.
incredible.
Now, do you know what you're going to talk about? Anything specific? Or do you want to save that for you want to keep the suspense? You want to give us a teaser?
Teaser. I'm the teaser. I've always got stories and secrets and more to tell. You never know what I'm going to come out with. You will not be bored.
Well, what it is it's a double slit experiment. So the scientists got together because they knew something they couldn't explain was happening. So they went quantum down to the smallest particle that they could find. And they had this little electron microscope, and they would observe through one slit. They would fire a particle, and in the background, it would create, yes, the one line in the same shape as the slit. So they added another slit, so it was two slits, and they were firing electrons. It's a double slit experiment. So the scientists, two slits. So they expected to see two slits showing up on the screen behind them, but that's not what was happening. What was happening is they were getting an interference pattern the same way that they would get with a wave, like they would all cancel each other out. Mm-hmm. So that led them to say, what's going on here? So they observed it. So they shot the particles once again through the double slit, and they observed. And what happened when they observed the particles, because in their mind, they're thinking, well, no, they're supposed to go in two straight lines, not in the wave pattern that they were getting before. So when they observe, well, now they're getting the two slits instead of the...
observing without judgment.
Yeah. So it's as though the particles knew they were being watched, and so they had to behave accordingly. Right?
That's interesting. Genius. Yeah, that's... I think that's and it works both ways. I think that's profound, and I'll tell you why. Because thinking you're being watched, okay? Think about it. Thinking you're being watched. That's just, 3 or 4 words. Thinking you're being watched. I had this happen to me yesterday, and it took me back to the 2 years I was expanding on the streets when this all started. And what would happen back then is I noticed that because I went deep immediately, like so many of us did immediately, and I went deep. So I was in my own world, and I very quickly became aware that I didn't give a shift who was watching me doing whatever the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? And so there was something that was unlocked there, or reignited, or whatever, rediscovered. Yeah. And so I went out. I had about 2 or 3 days. I started getting real human in 3D. Working. Not even, I'm in Hawaii almost 3 weeks. And I'm like, I haven't even I've been out like 3 or 4 times. I've been in the water once. So I heard, go down to the lagoon and it's private. And I was like, all right. But when I went down there, I was walking in the water and there's people up on the beach, but I was by myself, and I started to realize that I was carrying that vibration of what people, like, they're looking at me energetically. Mm-hmm. In other words, all the pressure I was putting on me wasn't even real. So I went back to that space of just being when you're not thinking that. And then I was okay. Yeah. Then I was okay. Yeah. So that's a powerful little quantum exercise, I think.
Yeah. The simple act of observation and knowing that you're being watched, it changes everything. So you're open to infinite possibilities. Yeah. So when we say that we are limitless and that we are infinite beings, we really are. We are open to that.
And like you said, one way or the other, you got to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
And I think that's why silence or meditation or taking a walk or whatever the case is works, because you're focused on being. And the being creates this magical, healing, alchemic, cosmic reaction.
Yes, it is so amazing what happens when we get out of our own way. And when we do that through meditation with the intent to connect with source energy, things are always working out for us, whether we believe that or not.
It's true, man.
It is.
It's true.
but we get in our own way. And I've actually been struggling a lot this week with the things that I can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, throwing me off because they're getting my attention. And it's like, no, 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 no. Reminder, go back to center, ground, meditate, releasing all resistance. And like Abraham Hicks says, my cork will float because that's what normally happens. So,
and that's what needs, that's what's, well, I don't want to say that's what needs to, but if we can be programmed from the day we put a pacifier in our mouth, and it becomes second nature, and and everything that we do becomes second nature, like riding a bike, driving a car. You got to think that at a quantum level, the same thing is going to happen. It's going to become second nature to be in this state, because this is our natural state. Now, there's a great question up here that we can keep this conversation going. I love the freestyling. So Peter Pan again says, he says, but here's one question: who observes the observer? I like to have a shot at that. Then you can take it. But here's what I'm seeing. Everything is inside of us. Everything that we're, because that's like the way you led the show with. I mean, what you explained is true.
Right.
And so everything I'm experiencing, is that reflection. So who observes the observer? I believe the observer is observing himself. This is just me now. This isn't like yogi guru stuff. It's just my opinion. And this is really an energetic explanation I'm trying to put into words. So the observer's observing him or herself. And so as the observer takes out the judgment, expectations, external blame, whatever, external anything, then it all comes to you. And to your point, I totally agree. And that is that if we get out of our way, not only does the magic come, but the magic comes as a reflection of ourselves. And as we gain critical mass, the whole entire freaking universe changes. You know?
The momentum builds.
Yeah.
You know, just like in a volcano, right? You get the little bit of heat started, and it heats up other particles, and heats up other particles, and eventually, kaboom! You get, you can't contain it because it's explosive. The amount that's there. So
it's explosive, like a mad Latino when it comes to saying work done. And the mother goddess says, "Get your butt down to that lagoon."
Yes. That sounds beautiful. I would have loved to see that. Oh, goodness.
It was actually really cool. I had a really profound hour in the water.
I bet.
Really a lot of alignment, and to see it happening with the wind or the clouds, or there was a sprinkle of rain. I mean, there was a little fish that waved at me. There was this other stuff that happened. And that, I think, is always there, but we get caught up, and I'm very guilty of it, trying to put this network out as fast as possible. But but if we just look, it's there. It's there.
It's already here. We keep running around trying to create things when we've already got it in our back pocket. We just don't know how to get there yet, And I completely understand it can be very frustrating knowing you have all this good stuff in your pocket and you don't quite well, that's great. So how do I get it from my pocket into my bank account or into, my life where, I can use it? And I wish I had a quick answer for that.
That's but that's still it's either, like you said, of the heart of the intentions.
That's right.
And so my question to you as an energy worker and practitioner is there a direct relationship between the level of shadow and illusion and trauma and all that we remove and our clarity as to what our purpose is?
And absolutely.
Therefore alignment with our intentions and heart.
And everything is removed in layers of an onion. That's how it's been explained to me, and it's the best way to explain it. So everybody is at their own specific level, and what happens is when, with the intention to connect to source, masters and angels, they're all part of it. What happens is the light of the particular person is connected to reconnected and from to their higher self. And what happens is the amount that is released is in accordance to what is of the highest of good for that person. So everybody's going through their own levels of trauma, blame, shame, guilt, fear, alcoholism, rape, and all this stuff, darkness, attachments, and all past life stuff and cords. And so everybody comes with their own specific package of what's going on. So the layer, some people will have a lot more layers than other people, but everything is in perfect timing with each individual person. So a person that awakens to their, at their time to have their healing, or to, no matter who it is, it's all in divine time. It's almost like something that cannot be rushed. When it happens, it's like a flower opening up. It's ready at that time. And then if people are ready, if they're ready, truly ready to release, if they're truly ready to not necessarily surrender, but to allow these things to come off, that's when I notice people will change a lot quicker than somebody that has, more resistance to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point earlier, and to something that Lisa Transcendence Brown talks about, is we're now in the quantum, no longer linear, it's quantum. So
yeah,
to me, that affects everything, the
everything.
Speed and capacity to learn, expand, whatever other synonyms you want to use. So you have, you have a direct relationship between this inner work and the superabundance / peace / love, so on, of the experience. And it seems to me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It seems to me that when we get right down to it, and it's so hard to contain this in words, but it's about life, it's about living, and certainly presence in the present moment. And then the other side of the equal sign to me is creation, which is where this all starts. So it's like there's something happening in a creative frequency that ties in telepathy, intuitiveness, imagination, and it seems to be it seems to be that when we have enough clarity, we align with our purpose, which comes from our heart, and we move into this environment, 5D, whatever you want to call it, where it's all about service in a totally different way, aligned with from your heart. How do you feel about that?
It's absolutely about service. It's also, it's like service of self too. It's when we're finally meeting our true selves face to face. And so it is service overall, but it doesn't always mean necessarily service to others. It's service to the self of like, okay, you've done it. You've done it. You've been through hell. You've been through the 3D world. Now it's time to come over here. And that's what it feels like when I have clients, and it's almost like source energy brings them over. I clear them off, and energetically, by releasing these layers of things, they immediately are able to enter into this other dimension. So I've been noticing over 10 years this split. So I've always said since the very beginning to source energy, bring me the appropriate clients. Like, I don't want to just work on anybody that's going to not understand or kind of abuse it or use it to enable them to continue to do bad. So I knew that each person was being brought, that was appropriate for me to work on them. But over the years, I noticed that I step back, I'm like, these people are being like slid over, there's a big thing that's happening over here. And it's me, as far as many other channelers of healings around the world, we're all getting this movement of people. So we are entering into this service for sure. And we're, even what you're doing, all of us are light workers, and in one way or the other, we're helping people, usher them, hey, come here, there's something better over here. You've done that before. You've gone around and round and round the block. You've been through the blame and the shame and the guilt and all that stuff. There's a better life. So I'm noticing that I don't really, it's in human words, it's almost like we're being picked, but not really, because we are that light. So we're coming home. Okay. Yeah. So this whole human experiment thing, where we're all created from the creator and a co-creator and a co-creator. And we've been given the free will and free choice and the light of God to be a creator God and to create our own lives. Well, over millennia, there was a detachment from that. Okay. And when these creator beings weren't just creating out of light anymore, they were started to create over wants, needs, and desires. Okay. Their own. So it started to get detached from light. So what this is, and that's where all the darkness started coming into the world and different dimensions. And it goes really, really, it's super quantum where I'm going right now. But
yeah.
But what happened is this whole movement, Todd, that everything is going on, where the masters and angels, why you, myself, and other light workers were just instantly poofed on this earth at this time, was to help bring this movement of light, bring it back to the original source. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And I think too, yes, absolutely. I don't think you're going too quantum there. I think what's interesting about this whole thing and I want to get your views on this. Okay, so we come from this perception of the past. Our only recollection for the most part is this incarnation. We've got some past life incarnations and so on. I look at that body of work or body of experience, and that's all a story. It's all a story, and so it served us, right? It served us. And now at the same time, we've got this unseen aspect of us, let's just put it that way, which is galactic and future lives and divine essences, all these aspects of ourselves, right? And they have served a purpose, right? And I look at this kind of in yin yang way. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't attach to anything behind me. So I can't attach to any of these things either, because they don't define me. It's all a part of me.
Right. It's all a part of you experiencing a different experience at the same time, really.
Yes. And so that's where I was going with my question as an energy worker practitioner, energy healer. So are you seeing a difference now in people in their ability to let go of the experiences that we had that quote unquote weren't even real, and or to let go of
and allowing that freedom of expression? Is you've been vibing in this frequency for a very long time, and you were chosen for this, Todd.
Yeah, I feel that.
And the goddess chose you, and the lunar rule chose you, the matriarchal system chose you. You were chosen. This wasn't something that just happens to anybody. A brother wakes up when the goddess chooses him to wake up, because they're responsible, they're an integral and integrity with it to the best of their capabilities. And it's about time a man like you is created this channel and this Soulology network to connect a network of amazing women that's on there, and have the odd brother come on too. You know what I mean? Because we can't exclude the brotherhood, because the brotherhood is very important. Just like the sisterhood, we need a solid brotherhood. Yeah. Where these brothers can feel safe enough to go, wow, yeah, there's stuff happening.
Yeah, there is stuff happening. I don't know if it's my Kundalini or my Kundalina.
Yeah.
But here's another thing here's another thing that comes to mind. Okay. That just jumped right out in my face with this whole masculine, feminine, as we take it from the one to the two, is that the man, you said the man's direct, right? Direct in the sexuality where he's coming from, and so on. Also in our communication, the man, and when I say direct, I don't mean like that's necessarily a constructive thing. And then she's like, what did you say? Receptive. Okay. So yeah, so to me, something just jumped in my head here. It might take me a day or two to figure it out, but it's also in the way we communicate. And what I'm saying here is, and I'm not just speaking from my own situation, but what I observe, my life experience.
Yeah. But I think it's on his end.
And is the communication in not so that's what's coming to me anyway. Let me go out and come back in. It might be my signal.
Yeah.
It's probably this Kundalini jacking up the signal. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, that's better. And you know,
well, we got about 55 minutes into this thing. Hopefully they know that. Are we both frozen, or let me see here?
No, I'm good.
Wow, what a great show, man. I mean, this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
How long are we doing
let me
this for,
see
Tommy?
how this is going. I got a lag here, so I can't tell right away.
Okay.
Oh, they can't hear me. I mean, I can't hear them. Can you guys go out and come back in? You'll be able to hear me. I mean, I'll be able to hear you.
Us? Okay. So how do I go out?
I can't hear him.
I think it's
if you guys can. There you go. All right. Yeah, man. What's going on with that? That's crazy. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
You hear us now?
Yeah, man. That was insane. I'm sitting here watching you talking to me on the thing 20 seconds behind. I'm like, what? It's that Kundalini. I never even heard that. I never even heard that term until today. And now I feel like
it's Kundalini and Kundalini.
Yeah, I've never heard of Kundalini.
Well, because people don't want to talk about Kundalini because it's the goddess and it's the matriarchal system and it's the lunar rays. So it's very difficult. And you know what, Todd, you're an excellent communicator in allowing, taking a seat for the women to communicate. And communication is also very important within the bedroom too. And that's why it's always important to make sure that the man's always on the bottom and the woman's always on the top of any type of pleasure. So the woman needs to be dominant in the bedroom, and any type of pleasure that a woman's receiving, the man needs to be on the bottom and the woman needs to be on the top. It's the same thing with communication. So when a woman's communicating, man needs to sit on the floor. Because man's always used to standing up and the woman's sitting on the floor. So man sits and woman takes the seat. It's the same thing in the bedroom. You know, the woman has the bedroom is her domain. That's her space, and that needs to be respected.
That makes total sense. And I gotta say, okay, if you go back a year ago, and a little over a year ago, and you watch these shows that I did, 500, 600 shows back, there was an evolution. And I wasn't the best listener, and I had a divine feminine, letting me know what it meant to hold space. And I fought it and kicked and screamed and said, I ain't doing that. I'm, But I'm telling you, if you went back and looked at some of the stuff I did 15 months ago, it was scary. It was a level of unawareness, but I had the luxury of having somebody, very constructively, I perceived it sometimes as criticism, but I learned. So I'm going to tell you, it's a reality. It's a reality that. Because I know, in fact, Aline shared a video I did 3 years ago on the 5th, which was about a week after I started doing videos. And I'm watching.
question, and let me add to that. So, and because again, I'm just trying to put the frequency out there that I'm feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
So because I know it's somehow carries activation sense, so we all do. And so I woke up this morning, and I'm like, okay, I got this new computer. I feel great. You know, I actually woke up very, very physically, you know, like I was active in Dimension last night for the last 2 nights. I knew I was because I get really sore and I'm groggy. But once I got out of it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do a radio show. I did a video first, said, hey, I'm okay, guys. I'm going to do a radio show. And then I started thinking, okay, staying with my truth. I thought I'm going to go into New York City and I'm going to dig something up. I'm going to make something happen. That's what we do. So I'm getting that. But my question to you was that, and that's in the spirit of staying true to yourself, which is what you're talking about. And I'm going to ask you about right now, and in our actions of creation. But so if something comes, what I'm finding is that if something comes at me, or let's just say someone, because the someone would require talking normally, like you said, autopilot. If it's something, the talking's up in here, you know, so it still applies. But what I'm finding is to say nothing, and not in judgment, just to say, can't do it. And for over the last 2, 3, 4 months, I've had people unfriend me. I've had people say things to me, and I've just held my ground most of the time. And what I'm finding is that they're coming back. Not that I was right, but that we're finding congruency, and that it's being understood at a level without words. Because the more we talk, like you said, the autopilot, the more we even if it's not something dramatic, we start having these I'd say low level, but the human 3D paradigm conversations. We are actually dipping down. We really are.
Yes. Yeah. You know, this is such a beautiful subject to talk about. You've said many things there, Todd, which you know, I can add to is let's try and be clear about what is operational. And again, we're just talking labels about third. We're just saying third dimension. It's a particular frequency. That's it. It's not actually called third. That's a human word. But we're just kind of trying to categorize and trying to talk to explain. Are you still there, Todd? You're frozen. Are you there? I don't know if I'm
just keep
still
going.
live.
If that happens,
are you there, Todd?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Just if that happens, just keep going. I'll pop in, pop out.
Oh, okay. All right. I will. So what we talking about?
Well, you were talking. Well, you.
Okay.
You were talking about the third dimensional being a specific vibration.
Let's try and get some understanding around this. And if people agree with it, they do. If they don't have to. It doesn't make any difference to me. But I'm just explaining the way I understand it and resonate to. A third dimension has a system of communication that humans use in order to live by and to communicate with the world and each other. That is a third dimensional frequency of linear languages like English, Greek, French, Japanese, writing, and reading. In order to perform those 3 acts of communication, you have to use the linear brain. So in order to talk, you're going into your, for want of a better word, third dimensional program in order to talk, third dimensional program in order to read, third dimensional program in order to write. The key is we're leaving that. So it is a case of, if we're reading all day long, that might assist the brain to a degree in understanding. It might also tap the ego on the head, because the ego wants identity. It wants to identify itself. So it's, oh wow, you know, I've read this. That's me. That's me. I'm a Blu-ray. I'm from Sirius. I'm this. I'm that. I'm an incarnation of whoever. That strokes the ego in the linear brain. The ego is linear 3D. It doesn't exist at 5D. The ego. So we have to be aware of our acts. If I was talking to people, and this has happened seriously, all day long, all I'm doing is staying in third dimensional frequency. So that doesn't serve my path if I'm wanting to raise my frequency and work with energy. Now, it's not always going to be this way, but at this stage in the ascension, that's how it is. When we get together with another person of a similar frequency, we can work together with our higher energies. And this is happening already. I mean, you know this, I know this. It's already happening where the frequencies are so similar, and the desire to experience higher experiences in the physical body is there, that the two gel and they can work together as energy and have experiences together as energy. So that's already happening, but we have to be aware, and I've forgotten where we were with this conversation, but we have to be aware of that talking is actually third dimensional frequency. We would serve ourselves more if we spoke light language to each other, or we would serve ourselves more on the ascending path if we just looked into each other's eyes and didn't speak.
And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is staying in the sacred space, right? I'm going to move out. Everybody can kind of move out a bit. And we'll start pulling back from the ceremony to some extent. Is, you know, one thing that I also think is important is heart-based conversation. You know, because it's not always about these ceremonies on these days too. It's like the intention and the beingness of our togetherness also has a lot of potential. And so I was wondering if, I don't know, if people felt comfortable or wanted to, you know, talk about the things that they would like to see as part of New Earth. You know, does anybody want to type in some comments, or, you know, what is one of your primary values for New Earth, Todd? Like, what's something that you would like to anchor in? For me, a big one is, you know, education for the children, the New Earth children, that supports the development of all of their skills in a way that is nurturing, you know, and honors their trajectory and what they came here to do. That's
I like that. And that's going to be huge as we move forward. These kids, I'm going to go after soon children that come on Soul Speaks, like special children. I think mine would be you know, the free energy, free everything. We live in a free universe. Everything's free. That's sovereignty. And so freedom all across the board, you know, free everything, free commerce, free expression, everything, just wide open, full blast, straight, universal, pure, free energy.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can't say it, but I can see it. Yeah.
One thing I'm also excited for, one thing that I'm calling in on a personal level that kind of crosses over, and you're welcome to say things that you're calling in too, right, guys? We can support one another in calling in our intentions. That's part of what a group can do. For me, it's raising Lauren's perfect protection of all animals. Let's give a moment to that. Well, yeah, we'll anchor some intentions here. So for the protection for animals, clean water, freedom. So self-regulating communities, self-supporting communities. So I guess autonomous communities. autonomous communities. You're calling in telepathy. Very good. Practicing exercises like this and joining in groups in the astrals is a really good way to do that. And so I bet a lot of you are calling in being able to know more about your abilities. And, you know, so I guess one of the things for that is just giving yourself the space to recognize as things are starting to change, you know, and having the confidence to say, hey, that thing under the corner of my eye or that thought that I had,
yeah,
it actually is real. So everybody wants freedom. Freedom is good. Support for all. Yeah, mutually inclusive communities. No gender. So you mean moving to kind of a place where people are just their energy, or as opposed to being referred to. We got call in justice, peace. You know, I gotta say, I think the word that I like a lot more than justice, and I'm not gonna use justice, I can't call in something I don't agree with, is balance. No. Justice is a retribution word. Justice is a word that we use to get back at something. Balance is more of a, yes, calling in the new healing technologies. Definitely part of this. Oh, you're getting your serotonin in balance. Very good, yes. Councils as opposed to hierarchy. Yes, councils are very important. So councils, I'm moving towards more inclusivity-based decision-making structures, right? Freedom again, acceptance. So that's, you know, we could take away things like, you know, releasing false ideological boundaries that are put on us. You know, and that's like one thing that kind of covers a lot of it, right? Is we release the veil. We call in the energy of truth. Yes. We call in that energy of purity, which we did the last time. Empowerment, grace, forgiveness, connectedness, all very, very wonderful energies to call in. And, you know, a lot of the time when I set my intentions, it's never really for a specific thing. It is a thing, but it's not a thing, you know what I mean? So it's like I call in balance, or the ability to kind of have everything worked out, or I call in, you know, call in the energy of the highest alignment of my next personal trajectory, because I don't like to personally define things too much. I feel like definition can be limiting, and then definition can be a form of control. Freedom. So sending energy. So one of the things also about shifting energies with Earth's patterns is that making sure that we're not ending them because it's what we want. So sending and understanding ways that we can support Earth trajectory that's in balance is maybe one. Plants as medicine. Balance, yes.
And there's plenty, and there's enough, and it comes in vibrationally. So if you want more, you get your vibration up. But you get your vibration up through opening your heart. Well, if your heart's closed, you can't raise your vibration. Right. So you don't get more. Am I making sense here? Oh, yeah. And I'm simplifying.
Now your physical body ascends first. That's what you're saying. Physical body.
No, your consciousness activates first.
Consciousness
and then it starts, right. Your consciousness acts energetically from within you. You'll expand to beyond the physical.
Right. Okay.
And then what will happen is you have to hold that expanded state so the body can recode itself to those new coordinates.
Right.
And the body can't dial a new code that actually vibrates at a different dimensional frequency to leave the current reality and enter a higher one. I'm trying to explain this and break it down in different ways. Yeah, the body vibrates in and out of dimensions. The only thing is that the human ego doesn't have the capability to tune their entire vibrational frequency and their overall consciousness of their entire body and vibrate it into a different reality. We do. It means being in tune in every moment with everything that occurs, in tune vibrationally with everything you feel, in tune constantly with everything, and bringing everything in your reality into the highest vibrational reality, the highest level of consciousness there is. So if somebody's in your reality and they're not conscious, they're a reflection of an unconscious aspect of you. Most people don't understand it's our job to bring our realities into consciousness. Everybody's like, they're unconscious, they're unconscious. No, they're reflecting back to you an aspect of you that's not conscious. If you're conscious, you can bring them into consciousness too. Now, this is where the tricky part comes in. If they say no, you have to honor and respect their wishes, but then you have to let them go. Humans hold on. Oh, but wait a minute, they're not letting me. And humans will try to pull everybody into their reality and convince them of what reality is.
Right.
And then try to get everybody to believe and do the same reality. We don't. We look at the person, we look at the aspect, we look at their capability, we look at their heart, we look at their human ego, and then we decide, are they capable yet of maintaining